Mammoths, two teams in two different spots here today as one looks to get it going and the other, looks to keep their offense going, Dan Griesbaum.
That's absolutely right. I think this Diamond Hoppers offense has been outstanding. It's a deep lineup, top to bottom. You don't have too many breaks there. Woolly Mammoths may be a lineup that's underperformed to this point, but one that I think the league is excited about and figure will break out really at any time.
Welcome, everyone, to the United Shore Media Desk. So happy to bring you a new element to these broadcasts. We'll have a sideline reporter in Chelsea Estes, a familiar face here in the United Shore Professional Baseball League as well. But we could just continue to make these things better.
It seems that way. It's been terrific so far. Glad that you and Chelsea are with us here at the league and look forward to finishing out this season strong.
Yeah, we saw a little bit in the Mammoths bats in the last game. They started to get it going. You talked to their manager, and he's like, yeah, it was a tale of really two games. It felt like three games almost in the doubleheader. First half, yeah, we got the bats going, did some things right. Second half, not so much the way he wants execution-wise.
Yeah, baseball is going to be that way. It has a tendency to be that way. You can tell he's trying some new things with the lineup, too. There's been times where I think his better bats have been dropped down in the lineup a little bit. Maybe Jamal Howard comes to mind, Webb Little to a lesser degree. But it seems like he's trying to get those guys better pitches, get their bats hot again, and it seems like it's starting to click. It's coming around slowly but surely.
No doubt about it. On the other side for the Hoppers, one of the hottest teams in the USPBL right now.
Oh, for sure. They have a veteran lineup. When you look at these lineups top to bottom, really their team is the one with the veterans, guys that have been in the USPBL before, have played at Jimmy John's Field before. Luke Johnson, Zach Gray, Riley Mahalik. There's so many guys up and down that lineup that have an idea of what they're doing with the bat. And you can see early in the season they're just a half a step ahead, I think, of the other clubs right now offensively.
Sure thing. We want to take a look at these starting lineups here today. It's kind of tweaks, but we've seen a lot of the same from these managers, and they're just kind of feeling out their lineup, but also they don't have a lot of pieces to deal with right now with the shortened rosters.
Right, there's not many choices. There's not a whole list of guys that you're thinking about putting on the bench on any given day. Shorter rosters, you just have one or two position players that you're sitting down. There's some things you can play with positionally and as far as your spot in the batting order, but I think they have their core, and that's who they're taking to the dance. That's who they're going to run out there.
Absolutely. Let's take a look at those starting lineups, sponsored by AAA, as always, here today. First, for the Eastside Diamond Hoppers, the visiting squad tonight, leading off the shortstop, Anthony Maselli, batting second. The third baseman, Jalen Smith. Batting third is the catcher, Luke Johnson. Had a big talk with him earlier. Going to reveal some of that throughout the broadcast today as well. Batting in the cleanup spot is the first baseman, Zach Gray. Batting fifth, the designated hitter, Riley Mahalik. In the sixth hole is the right fielder, Greg Vaughn Jr. They're happy to have him back in the lineup, looking to get some production out of the right fielder here today. Nate Grise batting seventh and in the seventh position as well in left. Jordan Pontius, a guy they want to get his bat going as well at the second base spot. And rounding out the order, batting ninth is the center fielder, Andrew McCoy. They'll be against Jared Wright. More about him in our pitcher comparison later. Now let's take a look at the home lineup. The Westside Woolly Mammoths here tonight, leading off the shortstop, Garrett Kieber. Batting second is the second baseman, Landon Barnes. Batting third, the right fielder, Sam Little. In the cleanup spot is the designated hitter, Colin McClelland. Batting fifth, the third baseman, Webb Little. In the sixth hole is the left fielder, Josh Goulet, one of those taxi squad guys for the Mammoths here tonight. Keandre Jones batting seventh and playing first base. Jamal Howard, a guy that's bat has certainly been peaking in the last few games, batting eighth and playing center field. And rounding it out is the catcher today, Brett Elmore. They're big against Zane Collins on the other side for the Eastside Diamond Hoppers here today. Real quick, a pretty good pitching matchup. We'll get to it a little bit more later.
Yeah, it's one that we've actually seen before, too. Both of these guys threw really well when they faced each other the last time. Both were definitely capable of winning the ball game. They kept the other squad off balance. They threw strikes, and I'm excited to see both of them out there again.
We'll take a deeper dive into those two when we get back. Also look at Dan's keys to the game. Don't go anywhere.
Order Jimmy John's and we'll bring it to your car door. Leave it at your front door or have it ready for you at our drive-thru. Just use jimmyjohns.com or our app to tell us what sandwiches, drinks, chips, and cookies you're hungry for. When you want it and how you want it. We're ready.
Welcome back to Jimmy John's Field, everyone. Tonight's game is presented by Hollywood Markets and brought to you by these fine sponsors: AAA, Ascension, Balfour Property Restoration, the Detroit Medical Center, DTE Energy, Dunham Sports, Dunkin' Donuts, Jimmy John's, your Metro Detroit Chevy dealers, Pepsi, Scott's, Summit Oral, and United Shore. We thank all those fine sponsors for making our broadcast what it is, and we see some more improvements here today. Chelsea Estes, you'll hear from her throughout the broadcast. We'll interview our player of the game. We'll also interview a manager or two throughout our broadcast going forward this week. So a lot of exciting additions, not only to the field coming up, but to our broadcast as well.
Absolutely. The people get a chance to hear from someone besides you and I. That sounds like an upgrade to me.
I think so. Evan Klein says he's watching us at the game. So hello, Evan, wherever you may be. Come say hi. Scott Gordon is watching as well. Jerry Parent says, let's hear it from Section 101. So some fans not only watching but chiming in as well. Let's take a peek at your pitching comparison brought to you by Denso, and two guys who are pretty good out there. Zane Collins for the Hoppers still hasn't given up a run, but his walks are up. Just a few mechanical things they're trying to fix with that.
Yeah, you know what? Someone's going to have to figure him out sooner or later. He's really kept everybody off balance so far. He's not necessarily featuring anything that he's going to throw by people, but he's got a pretty good arsenal of multiple pitches that he can throw for strikes during different counts. Comes a little bit over the top. It's been a tough look, and he's had a lot of success so far.
On the other hand, it's Jared Wright as well, a guy that's also been making some mechanical adjustments. We'll talk about that as this broadcast progresses. Opening pitch between the Mammoths and the Eastside Diamond Hoppers is next here on the USPBL Network, presented by Hollywood Markets. Stay with us.
Order Jimmy John's and we'll bring it to your car door. Leave it at your front door or have it ready for you at our drive-thru. Just use jimmyjohns.com or our app to tell us what sandwiches, drinks, chips, and cookies you're hungry for. When you want it and how you want it. We're ready.
Welcome back to Jimmy John's Field, everyone. Jeremy Otto alongside Dan Griesbaum Jr. to bring you the call here today. You'll hear from Chelsea Estes as this game goes on, and we thank all of you for watching here today. I want to remind you to chime in with us on Facebook and YouTube. Tricia Cook says, beautiful night for a game, wishing we were there. We're sitting at the lakefront watching the game. Thank you. So, Tricia, where are you watching from? That sounds like a good deal. Might be a little cooler than it is here.
I wouldn't mind sitting in front of a lake watching this game either.
Ben Kozmowski says hello from Capac, Michigan. Eric Sauter says go Hoppers. Derek Bellish says hello, Andrew McCoy. So hello, Derek, as well.
And he'll get to see Andrew today.
He will. Playing in the outfield today for the Hoppers. One of those taxi squad guys sitting at the bottom of the lineup playing center field as you get a good look at your starting pitcher, Jared Wright.
Not too shabby.
Jared Wright stands 6'3", 205, righty out of Southern Miss, native of Not a lot of the curveball last game for Jared Wright. He's been working on that slider throughout the last week. He said, his arm angle would drop down, and that would make it more of a cutter, so it wasn't as effective and didn't have that same break that you want out of the sliders. I think you saw one there, but he's confident in his work over the last week that that will show results here today, so we're excited to watch the slide piece.
It's tough to command two different breaking balls in a lot of cases, and if one is – it's nice to have both, though, because if one's going for you, you can lean on it a little bit, and you never know which one's going to show up in the bullpen. It's good to have both in your arsenal.
Were you ever a pitcher?
I was, but it was back to my early teen years, and then I started catching, and once you start catching, that kind of dominates everything.
I can see that. So getting ready for some baseball here. It's another muggy day in Michigan. I thought at first that the rain was showing, or the forecast was showing some rain like we saw over the weekend. On Sunday we had that rain delay and then another, but we should be good to go for some baseball here today. Your Zach Hart Agency, 3 men due up here in the first inning for the visiting Hoppers. It's Maselli, Smith, and Johnson. This lineup has been good up and down, though, Dan.
Absolutely. Maselli had a bit of a rough one the last time out, 0 for 3 with a K, but he's been a good catalyst. He has some pop in his bat. Not afraid to swing at the first pitch either, as you see on that one. Luckily, that one reached the seats, which is a little ways back. We got some foul territory here at Jimmy John's Field.
Get these guys sweating out here early.
Oh, yeah.
First pitch was at 7:03, just a tad bit early. Here's the 0-1 outside at 84. Maselli, 5 walks to 3 strikeouts, so you like to see that out of your leadoff man as well.
That's for sure.
Some extra base pop in this left-handed bat here as that one rides in at 90 for strike 2.
He's a pretty patient hitter. On-base percentage last year that was well over 400. Been a good catalyst for a while.
Right fielder Little plays him deep. This one hits softly to Keeber. Has to charge, deposit it quickly, and that is for out number 1.
That's a nice play by Keeber to come get it. Off the bat, it looked like that could be trouble. Maselli runs pretty well. Keeber came and got that ball, made a nice throw.
Here's Jalen Smith now, third baseman for the Diamond Hoppers. As most of these guys do when you look up and down the lineup, he's got one of those homers.
Right.
Pop up and down Paul Nochi's squad, and you can tell he likes that. There's a nice slider that curves to the outside, 0-1. You can see the bite that Wright was talking about.
Yep.
Fly ball to center. Howard and Little going after that one. It's Howard for the second out here. So here's what the rest of the defensive alignment looks like here for the Mammoths. It's Goulet in left, Howard in center, Little, Sam Little in right, Webb at third, Keeber at short, Barnes over at second base, Jones at first, and Elmer behind the dish here tonight.
Luke Johnson here, a bat to keep our eye on, and this is a matchup to keep an eye on.
First pitch to Johnson is in for strike 1. 5 for 18 to begin his year thus far. He's got some power, but he also takes a very close look at his walk to strikeout ratio. And I talked to him at length before the game here today about a lot of catching aspects, so we'll try to get to that as the broadcast progresses. But he's a guru, a baseball guru all the way around. I mean, he watches guys endlessly swing. He watches guys catch.
Well, I hate to be biased, but I'm not surprised that a catcher takes an intelligent look at the ball game. There is in all reality, there's a preponderance of former catchers that go on to coach and manage in this game. It's just a position where you're really taught to know what everybody's doing on the field. You have an eye towards strategy all the time. It's not just another player. There's a lot of catchers in the game that have a long career coaching and managing.
Here's a 1-2, fought it off inside at 90 as Johnson bails away there. Johnson just thought he was a little over-aggressive last year, hit just over 230. This is a guy his senior year that hit nearly 360 at the Division I level. 2-2, another biting slider to the outside, and those were two good sliders here in the first inning by Jared Wright. You see the work he put in. Still scoreless as we head to the bottom of the first when we get back here on the USPBL Network.
They called it the 1,000-year flood. They were having homes and businesses flooded, and the roads were being washed out.
My entire house is going to be flooded. Okay, do you have a second story?
A lot of fear that we were going to lose a lot of people. When we heard the police station was flooded, we immediately gave them our command center to operate out of.
Belfour was our savior. Sheldon and his team restored 25 of our businesses and more than 1,500 residences.
At Belfour, we're restoring more than property.
Throughout your life, from big moments to ones well-earned, we're your financial guardian angel. Alliance Catholic Credit Union.
We like to do it before we go out on the weekend.
We do.
We do it every week.
Whether we need to or not.
We did it today.
It was really dirty.
My parents do it every day.
Hey, kiddo!
Do it every day with the Unlimited Club, only at Jack's Car Wash. Protect your car from the hot summer sun, dust, dirt, and contaminants all summer long with the Jack's Unlimited Club. Join today, starting at just $21.99 a month.
Jeremy and Dan back with you here from Jimmy John's Field. Time to take a look at Zane Collins, brought to you by Denzo. 6'2", 240, left-handed pitcher, 23 years old, out of Western Michigan University. He's got a fastball, a breaking ball, and a changeup. So far, so good for 25.
Yeah, he gives his team a chance to win every time he goes out there. He's certainly establishing himself, I think, as a number one for this Eastside club. And he's been very tough to get to. He's on occasion lived a little bit dangerously via the walk, but has managed to strand guys really more often than not. Has a nice arsenal, 3-4 different pitches that he throws for strikes, and he's going to give his team a chance to win today. He always does.
So here comes Garrett Kieber, Landon Barnes, and Sam Little. Your Zach Hart agency, three men due up in the bottom of the first inning in a scoreless game. Good job in the top half by Jared Wright. And he wanted a snappy inning because although the numbers don't really show it, he wasn't happy with his last outing.
Really, he's being a tough critic. He certainly gave his team a chance to win. There was the one solo homer that he gave up to Johnson, and that even was not a mistake pitch in my mind. It was just a good piece of hitting. But nothing wrong with that. That's how guys get better. They critique themselves hard and make adjustments.
He said he couldn't bear to watch the home run.
He didn't have much time to watch it live. That thing got out in a hurry, as I recall it.
Here's the 1-0, swing and a miss at a 1-0 off-speed pitch there. So mid-80s fastball for Zane Collins. 175 outside.
Yeah, he's kind of an add and subtract type guy. You know, the 85 or 86 on the fastball really plays bigger when he effectively throws his changeup and his breaking ball.
He likes the contact, though. Gets a lot of ground balls. Got one there, but it's a hot shot off the mound and into center for a base hit.
Yeah, the irony really is that he certainly strikes out his fair share of guys, too. It's more than one per inning. And, you know, despite him trying to contact and not having an overwhelming fastball, he certainly strikes out a lot of guys.
Yeah, 4 walks to 10 Ks through 8 innings of action on the bump thus far. And if you're new to United Shore Professional Baseball League action, at least this year, yes, 7 innings, so that not only allows the managers to lift these guys out early, but they want to do that just because of everything that went into starting this thing. I mean,
yeah, it makes sense. It's a shorter roster compared to what you would normally have, and less arms.
First pitch to Landon Barnes, rides outside.
I think it makes for a good snappy game, too, most of the time. We've had some exceptions to that, of course.
Rain?
Yes. Yes.
The main thing?
Sure.
Walks. But grain for sure is.
No doubt.
Went in at 71 for strike one. It's a heavy dose of the breaking ball, or the changeup, I should say, here early on.
Keeper really, with a big knock there, setting the table is going to be important.
On the ground, third base side, Smith surrounding that one. Fakes to second, over to first, pulled him off, and a collision over there, and that will allow Keeper to advance to third without a throw.
It was a tough play. And Johnson, the terrific first baseman, Gray, rather, terrific first baseman, having trouble coming up with it, but this is so key for the Mammoths to get these guys on base. The middle of their order and some of their power guys are really starting to come around, but they need the top of the order, those table setters, to be on, and it'll give the little brothers and Jamal Howard and Keandre, these guys that are coming around with the power bats, it'll give them a chance to drive in runs.
So Sam Little will get his chance with 2 runners on base here. These Mammoths bats, as we talked about in the pregame show, started to creep up as that game kind of commenced. You saw some hits, saw some base runners, weren't able to connect as much as they would have liked, but then the rains came, and then it was like a different game. Paul Nickabrugga says just that. It was like 2 games for us, a first half and a second half.
Yeah, we've seen that on a couple of occasions this year, but you never want that when you're having a good game, especially as a struggling club. The last thing you want to see is something to change your rhythm like that.
He's still not pressing the panic button quite yet. He says it's still very early. We've had less reps than most teams in this league, just how the schedule shaked out. 0-1 curveball in the dirt. Good block there by Johnson.
It's a great block, especially for a first-third situation. So much to think about when you're a catcher. When it's first-third, you could have a guy stealing. You could have a double steal on. Then with the ball in the dirt, that can cost you a run.
Infielders at medium depth here with a runner on third base to begin this ball game here. 1-1, another curveball, popped him up. Shortstop Maselli shifts in front of Smith for out number 1 there.
Maselli did a good job to call him off there. He really had the better angle to that ball coming over from shortstop.
Here's Colin McClellan now. It's a guy who's 0 for 6 to start his career here. 1 walk, 1 K.
Manager certainly sees something in his bat. He keeps moving him up in the order. Must like the potential for something there. Local kid out of Brighton and in Northwood University.
I hit 5th on Sunday. Cleanup spot here today. 70 miles per hour outside. So this is a tough one for Zane Collins. I mean, we've talked about it. He's gotten his base runners on, but has gotten out of most frames.
Yep, it'll be just in character for him to get a double play ball here.
Runner in motion trying to prevent that there. Through the diving hands of Smith, going to score a run, and now trying to go from first to third is Barnes, and he does just that.
Yep, good managing really by the Mammoths and Paul Nickabrugga. It's a great time to start the runner there. Potential for a double play, and they managed to stay out of it. The ball got through, so they're back in a first-third situation now, and they got one up on the board.
And Paul is all about his team playing aggressive. He says everybody on my team has the green light in terms of playing uninhibited. He doesn't, want to overload them with signs. He wants them to have that strong IQ and bring it to the ballpark. That doesn't mean they can do whatever they want, but
yeah, there seems to be a fair amount of freedom here in the league in general. Early in the year, we see a lot of guys running, a lot of guys showing their wheels, showing what they can do, and it hasn't always made sense from a strategic standpoint, but I think it's just more about showing skills at this point.
And there's a lot of observation going on right now. Let's have it. I mean, some of these guys are brand new. These managers don't know everybody in and out. They have guys from the taxi squad, coming in and out of the rosters and lineups each day. So they're learning about these guys on the fly as well.
Yep, a lot of evaluation.
Collins likes to work quick. A lot of these starters in the league do this year. Is that one fouled back. So a run in off the RBI single by Colin McClellan, his first knock of the year. And you hit the nail on the head. They liked his bat. They saw something, and he produced here today.
Yep. Made his manager look like a genius so far.
Curveball away, but there's not much better way to work out of a funk than be aggressive, right?
Yeah, it's so tempting when you're in a funk like that to stand there with the bat on your shoulder and somehow hope for a walk or something, but it never works out that way. You've got to just keep plugging away.
1-2, line drive to left. Going to send Grise in, makes the catch, and holds everybody. Perfect positioning for Nate there. Let's take a peek at the rest of the defensive alignment here for the Diamond Hoppers. You see Grise in left, McCoy in center, Vaughn over in right. It's Smith at third, Maselli at short, along with Pontius up the gut here. Gray over at first, and Johnson behind the dish. They like what they have in Pontius and Maselli up the middle. And, yeah, Pontius is 2 for 18 at the plate, but he's not showing it in his defense, Dan.
No, he's he's a bat that they want to get going, but
on the ground, second base side. There he is.
Yep.
For out number 2.
I swear we do that a lot, don't we?
4-6 for the third out, and a good job by Zane Collins to reel it in. Only one run scratches across. It's Garrett Kieber who got on to lead off this inning. More when we come back on the USPBL Network, presented by Hollywood Markets. Check that. We are staying here. It's Jimmy John's Trivia. I'm trying to rob you of
I want to stay hot myself. We're talking about streaky hitters and stuff. I want to stay hot with my trivia.
Here we go. How many stitches does a baseball have?
I feel like I know this one. It's 108.
Yes.
Okay.
Those are two convincing answers.
Yeah,
back
you know
to
what?
back days.
I believe isn't it the same number of beads in the Catholic Rosary as well? I feel like you're the Catholic League guy. I'm asking you on that one.
Oh, that's a new one to me.
Okay. I believe there's that connection between the Rosary and baseball, and I think being that you went to a Catholic League school and that's such a great baseball conference, I feel like that's one they should give you guys at orientation.
Yeah.
I feel like you should learn that.
I'm going to have to get some on some guys about that.
Maybe we can ask Chelsea Estes if she some Catholic League experience herself.
Yeah, teacher over at UAD Jesuit. She actually mentors some of the broadcast kids over there as one of their instructors. Teaches a journalism class there. Zach Gray, Riley Mahalik, Greg Vaughn Jr., your Zach Hart agency. 3 men due up against Jared Wright, but that slider looked sharp in the first inning, didn't it?
It sure did. If he establishes that along with his fastball, it's going to be a quick night. Speaking of freaky fast trivia, I got some sandwich news for you if you're in the mood for that.
Sure.
For the first time I tried my favorite Jimmy John sub, the Vito. I tried it as the Unwich.
Did you?
Have you done that before?
Maybe once.
We're just wrapped in lettuce, no bread?
Yeah.
Okay.
Did you like it?
I was pretty happy with it. I wouldn't say that I like it as much as with the bread.
It's more of a light meal.
Yeah,
though, right?
if you're looking for a lighter meal, I was pretty happy about it.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it establishes a lot of the same taste with maybe a little bit of a lighter feel.
Yeah.
It's a good option anyway. I appreciate the versatility over there.
For those of you that are gluten-free, that's a great option. Right. Zach Gray has been good in a lot of areas at the plate, shown some pop, driven in runs, and has shown some patience at this cleanup spot as well. 7 walks to only 1 strikeout for number 22.
That last matchup they had with the Woolly Mammoths, he had a key double that plated 3. That was one of the key blows in that game.
Five runs scored as well for this first baseman. 1-0. Got under that one. Golay, Little, Kieber all converging, and it's Golay who comes in. Kieber could have probably got that as well, but...
Yep. Priority to the outfielder. They're coming in on that ball, and it's definitely an easier play for the left fielder than it is for the shortstop.
Here's Riley Mahalik now, 5 for 21 to start this year for him. DHing here today. They've really tried to find him a position. It's tough, though, because for a guy who doesn't have a lot of experience out in the field, he can play first base, but you don't want to take Gray. I mean, that's a gold glover.
Yeah, you really don't want to move Gray from there unless it's just, for a breather.
Towards Barnes for the second out. But they're going to continue to give him some reps at that third base position, and Paul Noce wants him to continue to take those, and it's tough, certainly. They're still not practicing.
For his long-term future, I think it makes a lot of sense. As a DH, you just have to mash so consistently if you're going to advance throughout the professional ranks just as a DH. Even for a good left-handed hitter like him, you're really in a spot where you have to hit the ball over the fence quite a bit if you're going to keep advancing just hitting every day.
First pitch to Greg Vaughn Jr. is in for strike one.
Of course, we talked about it before. Greg Vaughn Jr. from a great baseball family. Father Greg Vaughn, great power hitter in the big leagues.
I was looking up his stats today. A Silver Slugger, 4 All-Star game appearances. Actually played with Greg Vaughn Sr. played with Paul Noce's brother at the community college level for a couple of years.
Is that right? I didn't know that.
I think you mentioned it the other day, 355 career home runs,
yep.
3 100-plus RBI seasons, 1,000 RBIs for the career.
Nothing to sneeze at there.
Batting average wasn't quite there, but I think he'd fit in to today's game and then some.
Oh, sure.
Not that he didn't back then.
No, I mean, there was a lot of good power hitters back then, certainly, but it's kind of starting to get back that way again.
3-1 is downstairs, and Vaughn Jr. draws his 5th walk of the year.
He's shown a pretty good eye at the plate thus far. Hasn't had a ton of at-bats yet, but seems to stay within himself and not chase too much.
But that's impressive, right? I mean,
absolutely. Especially for a guy with some power, and you want to get up there and prove yourself and swing the bat, but gotta have discipline too. There's really, if you think about it, when it comes to hitting, there's really nothing more important than getting a good ball to hit. If you don't have a good ball to hit, none of the other stuff really matters. Your mechanics, your timing, none of that means anything if you don't get a good ball to hit.
Grise Jr. or Grise playing left, not Junior. we have like
we have some
juniors
here. You got not to mention me, right?
Yeah, that's true. It's just stuck in my head now. Everybody's a junior.
Right.
Third baseman Webb Little playing him extremely towards the line. The shortstop keeper on the cut of the grass is this one in for a strike. 1-1 on Grise, 6 for 16 to start the year. And there you see it. And got some numbers on 23.
He can hit it the other way, though. That that home run that he hit was to the opposite field, so he certainly has some power the other way.
Remains high at 77.
Really, the Hoppers lineup from 3 with Johnson through this 7 spot with Grise has guys that can certainly regularly hit the ball over the fence.
Move over to first. Jared Wright, first, 5 up, 5 down. Most via the contact. He did strike out Luke Johnson on the slider to end the first. Fly out and a ground out to start this inning before the 2-out walk. 2-1, just got a piece of that. Jordan Pontius would be next, and Andrew McCoy. Look at your Zach Hart Agency men on deck here in inning number 2. The sun has gone away, which has cooled it off just a little bit.
Yep.
Billowy clouds above Jimmy John's Field currently here. Holding in an extra beat. Runner moving 2-2 outside. Good stop by Elmer. Not much you could do with that.
Picked a great ball to run on.
Another TCF Bank stolen base. TCF does a cool thing with every stolen base here in the USPBL. They'll donate to a charity locally here in Macomb County. So thanks to TCF Bank for the sponsorship and your kindness as well. Now waiting the full count delivery. Here it comes. Swing and a miss. Starting pitch at 83. Downstairs that time. And a good job by Wright to strand the 2-out walk. He looks good so far, Dan.
Yeah, that's a put-away pitch right there. That breaking ball that he's bringing away is a chance to put a guy away. It's working.
Well, now time for your DTE Kids Race the Mascot.
Well, I was hoping for Ribby today. It looks like I'm going to get it, too.
So my man Brady is going to race Ribby here.
Ribby gives you an effort when he's out there.
He does. Woolley greeting them at home plate here. And Brady's off to a good start. Look at him burn.
Okay, this kid can move.
Look at those arms, man.
I don't think Ribby was ready for this one.
This is your future track star, I think.
Might have to teach him how to run the bases a little bit. Looks like he's forgetting about the bags, but outside of that, we could maybe use him on the taxi squad here to back up one of the outfielders. He can get around.
How about it? Your DTE Energy Kids Race the Mascot, and Brady was burning. We're going to talk to Brady in a minute. Chelsea Estes going to be standing by with him. Jeremy out alongside Dan Griesbaum Jr. to bring in the call here today, 0-0 as we're heading to the bottom of inning number 2. The Westside Woolly Mammoths going to send up Keandre Jones, Jamal Howard, and Brett Elmer as well. Your Zach Hart Agency 3-men due up, 7, 8, 9 in this Mammoths order. They got some action on the base pass, scored the first run off a couple hits. What'd you see out of that Westside offense in the first?
You know what? The top of the order needs to regularly get on base, and they did that. That's a trend that we're going to have to keep our eye on, starting with guys like Keandre Jones here. There's some guys in the middle of the lineup who are starting to swing the bat a little bit. And if they can get a chance to drive men in, this offense is going to get going again.
Keandre Jones to lead off the second inning for the Mammoths, as the first pitch to him is a swing and a miss at 81. Keandre has a home run to his credit thus far.
Brady, how old are you? This many? 5? Oh, my goodness.
0-1, off speed on the ground. Collins, good job off the mound, sends a dart over to first for the first out.
Are you nervous?
Keandre, to me, is one of those hitters that has to hit the one that's the best pitch, whatever the best ball to handle.
Let's send it down to Chelsea Estes now. Chelsea?
Excited? Are you ready to answer a few fun questions for me? Okay. Hi, everybody. Welcome back. My name is Chelsea Estes, and I am here with, let's say, the star of the show. This is Brady, and he just won the DTE Kids Race the Mascots. Brady, you were so fast out there. What did you eat before the game to give you all that speed?
Nothing.
Nothing, so you're just a natural fast runner?
Yeah.
So, Brady, what's your favorite sport?
Baseball.
Oh, baseball. What's your favorite position to play? Do you like to play it?
Batter.
A batter. Now, I'm guarantee you guys, you will see him here on the field at Jimmy John's not too long from now. So, what's your favorite team?
Hoppers.
The Hoppers. Are the Hoppers going to win tonight?
Yeah.
Yes. All right, Brady, give me an air high five. Awesome. Jeremy, back to you.
Thanks, Chelsea. Good to catch up with little man Brady down there. Got a Hoppers colored mask. Fly ball to left field for Howard. That's going back towards the trees and way gone. Wow, Howard put a charge into one here in the second inning. And just like that, the Mammoths with a 2-0 lead.
Yeah, like we talked about already, Howard's one of those guys that's starting to get it going, and that was a no-doubter. He stood there to admire it for a second, gave us a little bat flip. He knew that one was gone.
Two for 7 start becomes a loud 3 for 8 start here in inning number 2.
Hitting down in the order now, and it's tough to get excited about moving him back up. You know, he's starting to starting to swing the bat pretty well. Nothing wrong with having a little bit of thump down at the bottom of the lineup.
It's another Kozak's Mr. Muffler home run. Brett Elmer, the bottom of the order, will face Zane Collins. Curveball remained up. Elmer with the Mammoths. He's the guy that's floated all over the USPBL so far in the taxi squad. 1 for 6. He's shown some patience, though. 3 walks to 3 Ks.
He has a tendency to do that throughout his career. He gets on base at a pretty high level. Also showed some pop in the Pecos League for a little bit. Pretty good offensive performer overall, especially for a catcher.
Two hits the corner for strike 3. It's a Sherwin-Williams painted black, called third strike. Nice job by Collins to locate that one for out number 2. Here's Garrett Kieber now. Top of the order, he got it going with that single back in the first inning. Landon Barnes then reached on an error. You saw Sam Little pop out, and then the nice approach by Colin McClellan on the 2-0 pitch for the single and RBI. Here's another nice swing and a single into center.
Yeah, he's a key for this club. He's the man that's going to set the table. And if he can get hot, that's going to make a big difference for their offense.
These bats look totally different the
They
last
do.
couple of games, at
They
least
do.
at the beginning part of last game and now to begin this one as well.
Starting to swing with some confidence, especially those power guys.
Sure, the message by Paul Nickerbrugge will be, hey, look, we're probably not going to have a rain delay today, but let's keep it going second half of the game here tonight.
Yep.
So Zane Collins retiring the first batter he saw was a strong play off the mound, 1-3. Then the bomb of a home run to left center by Jamal Howard, and the strikeout looking to Elmer. And most recently the single by Kieber, and that is why this Mammoth squad holds a 2-0 lead and 4 hits on the board. First runs of the year given up by Zane Collins in his third outing. That air conditioning breeze feels extra good today, doesn't it?
It does.
Ever so often when we feel it just come
Yeah.
towards us from the press box behind.
Yeah, I don't know what causes that, or else I would figure it out and arrange for it a little bit more often.
Barnes reached on an error to the third baseman his first time up back in the first. Sam Little would be next. Your Zach Hart agency man on deck. Is that one in for strike 2? Barnes kind of chasing that one.
That's key for Collins. If he can get guys out front, hitting on their front foot, chasing the ball out of the zone a little bit, that's really his bread and butter. Seems adept at that, especially when facing right-handers, using his changeup, using his off-speed.
That one bounced, tough bounce for Johnson in the end. Is it going to roll in front of him? What are you taught to do as a catcher on a pitch like that?
You try to get lucky, honestly. You try. I think you end up using your glove more so than really you're supposed to. Truly getting into a blocking position is probably going to be futile. It's just not. It's not possible to get there quickly enough, and you just try to throw your glove at it and knock it down if possible.
That's what he did.
Yep.
And Johnson has kind of adjusted what he's done in terms of his crouch. He starts with that left leg down, which has helped with his blocking. He made quite a few adjustments in his crouch and how he approaches catching pitches.
Pretty good athlete overall. Has played the outfield as we mentioned before.
Yeah, pretty much all throughout college he switched between outfield and catcher. There's moments where he was defined the catcher, but here's the 3-2 on the ground, third base side. Tough play for Smith, backs up. Strong throw to first, and no scoop by Gray. And taking the wide turn around third base is Kieber. He's going to hold.
It's really been the second play like that now with Jalen over there. He's made the pick, but he hasn't had the arm to get it all the way to Gray over at first, and Gray hasn't been able to save him on either one yet.
So second error, and both coming to Landon Barnes, believe it or not.
That's right.
Runners on the corners now with 2 outs, and here's Sam Little now. corner infielders are in. This is a bright, sun-soaked infield right now as you see all the sun on Zane Collins there. These shadows can certainly be challenging early on and navigating them, but for the most part, they're dealing with the same thing each night, night out, for now at least, when the sun continues to go down later in the day. But that'll change as we approach fall, certainly.
Yep, definitely.
I mean, that's got to be one of the bigger differences as well when you talk about flipping from high school to pro or college to pro. Certainly you get some night games in college, but not a lot.
Not a lot.
Runner moving to second base. This one's inside. He's going to throw. It's bounced, and now the runner coming home, and he gets there.
Yeah, that's tough. It's what makes first, third plays so complicated. Sometimes if you don't think you can get the guy, it might be a better idea just to put that ball in your pocket and not take a chance with the man coming home.
It's another TCF stolen base in Macomb County. Safe play at home as well. Make Macomb County your safe place.
Great game for Keeber so far, getting on twice with base hits, using his legs to come home on that one. If he can be a catalyst for this club, it could make all the difference.
So now 3-0 Mammoths. They entered Sunday without a lead, got their first lead in that game when they went up just a run. Now they're feeling pretty good about themselves offensively. Up the gut, and tough play for Collins. He let it go, and this is going to score another run most likely as McCoy has trouble with it. Beelining to second base is Sam Little, and the throw is trickling from Pontius as well.
Hopper's looking a little bit sketchy defensively so far today. Just not quite as sharp as we've seen him previously.
So that's going to go for a single and an error. So 3 errors thus far in the Diamond Hoppers.
Mammoths really need to keep the foot on the gas now. Things are going well. Don't rest on your laurels. Keep having good at-bats up there and keep adding to this.
7 errors all season for Paul Nochi's squad as he comes out to discuss things with Zane Collins, and certainly not all this has been his fault.
No, certainly not.
All started with the Jamal Howard home run to left field. He crushed that one. Then the strikeout looking to Brett Elmer. That was 2 outs all of a sudden, but the single by Keeber. The error by Smith allowed Barnes to reach, and the single in the air, just like you saw there from Sam Little, drove in another.
Right, makes that run unearned, of course, because of the Smith error.
Colin McClelland, 1 for 1 today with a single. Run scored as well. That's foul. We talked about McClellan moving up in the order, and he's rewarded with a base hit.
Right.
And an RBI.
RBI, yep.
Exactly how you want to snap an 0 for 6 to begin the year. Off speed outside at 75, taken for ball 1. There's no action in the Hoppers bullpen. They want him to at least get through the second inning, you'd imagine.
Yeah, unless something catastrophic happens, you want him to get his innings in.
You've got Martin, Stroll, and Darnell available today for this Hoppers squad. Stroll with a tough outing his last time out. I'm sure he wants to come out and try to redeem himself there. Darnell has shown good sign and stretches. Snap throw back to second, not in time. Don't believe he got that call either. It should be 3-1. Another hitter ahead here in the second. Here's the 3-1 pitch now. Fly ball to center field, hit well. McCoy going back towards the flag and puts it on cruise control as he finds it for out number 3. It's a big, big inning, the biggest of the year so far for the Westside Woolly Mammoths. They put up 3 more off 5 total hits. They have a 4-0 lead as we head to the bottom of the third, and it's time for Buffalo Wild Wings field pong here.
Interesting.
New promotion at Jimmy John's Field. And check the chat column on the YouTube and Facebook feed as well, because there's a good thing about this inning. You're going to be able to get a virtual ticket, which is going to give you some discounts at your local Buffalo Wild Wings.
I love it. Do you have a favorite Buffalo Wild Wings sauce? Are you a real spicy guy? Do you take it to a high level?
I'm more of a honey barbecue type of dude. How about you?
Spicy garlic, maybe?
Yeah, that's not bad. So there you see Chelsea Estes. She's doubling today as our sideline reporter and in-game host. She's going to catch up with Paul Nochi in the 5th inning on our broadcast. It's a welcome addition, not only Chelsea, but some interviews. So we're excited about that. She'll interview our player of the game in the Auto Lab post-game show as well. And this
sort of like a giant game of beer pong here, sort of?
Sort of, yes. That one's just off the edge there.
Oh.
Would you be good at this?
I think so. I think so. Played a version of this on occasion. Did they get to re-rack at all? Is that part of the rules?
I don't think so.
No? Okay. The re-rack can be important.
So certainly check the comments on Facebook and YouTube. You can win yourself some discounted Buffalo Wild Wings. Grant Flugie says, watching from the comforts of my home. Savannah Lay says, go Brian Piper, my favorites. Kenny McLaughlin says, shout out from Waterford. Keith Leahy watching from Santa Claus, Indiana again. How about that? Derek Bellish says, hello. Mark Wright says, Helen Wright checking in from Mississippi. Go Mammoths. Mark Wright says, go get a Mammoth. Ken Kozmowski asks, what are the rules for coming to see the game in person? So right now it's invite only. Season ticket holders. We hope if the state of Michigan, lower Michigan that is, moves to the next phase, we can allow some more fans in the building.
Yeah, it's been tough. You know, actually this week I had a chance to even talk to some of the players' families who had called up and, you know, asked if there's any way that they could come out to games, and it's frustrating. You know, they want to see their kids play. I know my mother would have lost it completely if I was playing in some league that she wasn't allowed to come and watch me play. I can certainly sympathize with that situation. It's a very unusual situation, and I'm sure it's hard on the families.
2-1 on the ground. It's Kieber. Moves quickly. Threw it high, though. And that's going to allow Pontius to at least go to second base. Good bounce by Elmer and a great backup by him. I mean, as a coach, you knew this, but everybody in the field has a spot, right? And even if the ball's not hit to you.
I just talked about that the other day, actually, it was a 9U team, so it was young guys. But especially with the young kids, there's a tendency to just stand there if the ball's not hit to you, and it doesn't matter where the ball is. There's somewhere to go. You know, there's a base to back up. There's a certain amount of guys should be moving toward the play, in a backup type role, and there's always something to do. The catcher should be going down the first base line if there's nobody else on base. So everybody's got a job, and you have to expect the unexpected.
So only the second base runner that Jared Wright is facing this game. Had a 2-out walk back in the second inning as well. First pitch to McCoy is popped up. Barnes has a good beat on this as he continues to drift for out number 1. Jared Wright, today those look sharp. Couple Ks, one in the first, one in the second. Both of those to end each consecutive frames, but has used his fielders as well this evening.
Yeah, he's had good command of that breaking pitch. He's been able to put some guys away with it, throwing strikes. there wasn't much he could do about that Pontius ball there, but otherwise he's really neutralized a very good offense, at least so far.
First pitch to Maselli outside. Wright's a guy who had a 7 ERA at Southern Mississippi his senior year, 55 innings, 27 walks compared to 38 Ks. And he admits, hey, look, those aren't the best numbers, but at the same time he was getting invited to some major league camps, and the powers that be around him said, hey, we see the skill here.
Mm-hmm.
And Justin Orndorff certainly sees that as well. There were times last year where they tried to get him to the USPBL. It didn't quite work out as he was working out for some teams, but he was happy to receive the call this year and has had a lot of fun so far.
Yeah, talent evaluators, they really looked at that. They look at that projectability. They look at a guy's body. They look at his skills. The stat sheet can become very secondary to that sometimes. You're trying to see not what kind of player is this guy right now. It's what kind of player is this guy going to be in 1 year? What kind of player could he be in 5 years? Is it possible that he has a higher ceiling than what we're seeing right now? That all goes into it. It's not if you're 10-0 on the mound or if you hit 300. You're trying to see where is this guy going to go from here.
1-2, got on top of that one. And Justin Orndorff, the director of player operations here, has admitted that they haven't tweaked a lot of guys, and they're going to put everybody through that delivery value system window and see what they can do to improve. But right now they're just kind of observing. That's what they've done in the past 2-3 outings, and then they start to make those tweaks.
I think really no matter what line of work you're in, if you have a managerial role of some sort, you can appreciate that. Oh, look out, JJ. It always makes me nervous when a hard ball goes toward JJ like that. But anyway, I was saying, anyone who tries to jump right in and change something or someone without really evaluating them first and figuring out what do they do well right now, what can they maybe do a little bit better, you have to take that time to evaluate first before you can go in there like a wrecking ball and just start changing everything.
One thing they have noticed with Wright is he could get a little bit more out of his bottom half, and they think that's limiting his velocity. Right now he's peaking 91, 92, but they think he can get to maybe 93, 94, and Jared Wright is the first man to admit, hey, look, scouts look for velocity when it comes to a pitcher.
Sure. I think in some cases scouts look maybe too much toward velocity because there's other elements, but he's right about that.
This coming back to us?
Almost.
Fans in the first row trying to duck away from that one, but
yep, that one came back a long way. It had heavy rotation on it. It looked like it started at us, and before we know it, it was rotating back toward the field of play.
Jalen Smith will be the last shot here in the third. He flew out to center field. Howard was able to pick that one up for the Mammoths. So Wright trying to strand another base runner at second base here.
Jalen would like to get one back here. He's had a tough day defensively.
Yeah, pair errors at third base. There's been 4 errors already in this game, and we've not even played 3 complete. (1-0). 77 miles per hour for strike one. So we told you fastball, curveball, changeup, slider. I think he's looking to lean more towards the slider than the curve. He said he threw many more sliders compared to the curve in the last outing, and that's something he's worked on. Thought his arm angle was dropping, which made it more of a cut fastball.
Yeah, it certainly appears that way. He definitely seems to be working with that pitch more.
88 on the black for strike two.
In a lot of ways, it's tougher on the hitter, really, a slider than a curveball is because the velocity is more similar to the fastball. So when you see it out of his hand, you don't recognize it as quickly as you do a curveball. A curveball, when it comes out of the pitcher's hand, most of the time it's going up before it comes down.
And then the late break, right?
Right, and the slider has later break. And, you look at someone like, I know this is a very high-level example, but you look at someone like Mariano Rivera with, really, he was just a two-seam fastball and a cut fastball, and everything was just about the same speed. It was just, is it going to break this way or that way? And as a hitter, that's very challenging.
1-2, darts to the outside at 83 for strike 3. So he has struck out each batter to end the first, second, and third innings. Stranspanius at second base, right, looks pretty good so far, and so does this Mammoths offense as they'll look to do some more damage in the third inning. But before they do that, we've got JJ the Water Boy, sponsored by Michigan First Credit Union. There he is.
I'm glad he made it to this promotion here after that screamer that went toward his doghouse last inning.
I hope JJ hydrated today. Did you do your hydration work? Or?
I was a little bit lacking today. I felt for some reason I didn't get to bed till pretty late last night, so I was on the coffee today. I wasn't partying or anything like that last night. I was right here at Jimmy John's Field. We had some amateur games. The Grosse Pointe Redbirds organization had a couple of ball games here late last night, and
saw that.
Yeah, I got out of here kind of late, and I was kind of did the opposite of hydrating, which was the coffee today, and I still have my Dunkin' Donuts coffee here in front of me right now.
Dave Bergman behind that for many years, right?
Yeah, what a terrific man. We really lost something significant when he passed away much too young. He really did everything after playing the game of baseball. First of all, he had a terrific career. He was in the big leagues for 15-plus years, I believe, as a role player, that's really one of the most difficult things to be for a long time as a non-starter in the major leagues. That's very hard to hang around in the game that long. But he was someone who always had an eye on the next thing. He studied to become a financial planner while he was in the big leagues, and that was the next career that he had. And then he gave back to the game and started the Grosse Pointe Baseball Organization, which he named the Redbirds, which was after his college team, the Illinois State Redbirds. That's where he got that name from. Yep. Has his number retired, number 14 at Illinois State University, and started a great organization. Also one of the first baseball showcases for prospects. That's a very common thing now, but one of the first ones ever developed was by Dave Bergman.
Interesting. Yeah, those things are the hot button these days.
That's for sure. But the Grosse Pointe Baseball Showcase was over 20 years ago now, I think, and they still have it, and he started that.
1-0 fly ball stroke to right. That's sending Vaughn Jr. back. He's got a good beat on it, though. He collects it for out number 1. Your Josh Hart Agency 3 men up, or Zach Hart Agency, I should say, 3 men up here in the third inning. Saw Little, Goulet, and then Keandre Jones. This inning brought to you by DTE Energy.
In a lot of ways, the two best power bats on this club, at least early in the year, Keandre Jones and Jamal Howard hitting 7-8 in this lineup.
Here's the 1-0 up high at 81. So Zane Collins back out there for the third inning. Still no action in the Hoppers pen. Some unearned runs will be tagged to him here today. I mean, you look at that second. You got to lead off out, and then the home run, which is pretty well tagged to left center field, but a couple errors, which led ultimately to extra bases, which is never a positive sign.
Yeah, this is, whether it's professional baseball or college or high school, you can't give teams extra outs. They're going to punish you, and that's such an important part of the game. It's outs. There's only, this is a 7-inning game, so there's only 21 outs. So giving away any of those outs can tip the scales.
I want to remind you to check out that Buffalo Wild Wings coupon on the chat feed at your local Buffalo Wild Wings, Wings Beer Sports, as this one is in for strike 1 to Keandre Jones. Jones with a home run to his credit so far this season as well. It's a guy they think has tremendous potential. And there's one reason why. He ropes it down the third base line for a single, so first and second with 1 out here in the third.
He's got bat speed. He's got power. I think the element of his game that he needs to work with a little bit is not chasing balls out of the zone, especially the breaking ball. You know, if I'm a pitcher, I really don't give him a fastball in the zone, and you know, in my opinion, but that's something he can work on. You can't really teach power as much as you can teach plate discipline, and I think he'll develop that.
Yeah, they also want him to kind of use all fields as well.
Sure. And that'll help the discipline, too.
First pitch to Howard is a swing and a miss.
When you can use all fields, that'll allow you to let some of those breaking pitches and pitches outside travel a little bit further, and you're less apt to chase those out of the zone. So those things really go together.
0-1 is low. How hard is it for a guy who pulls the ball? And that, obviously, your power hitter, that's something you want them to do. But if it's a guy who has power but has potential as well to go gap to gap and has some speed, is it tough to teach that guy to hit it the opposite way sometimes?
It is, until they start having a lack of success. You know, if they start striking out too much, or
this one
another
a mile high.
That ball is like the other one.
A lot of communication here. It's Gray.
Yeah, Gray did the right thing there. That would have been a tough ball for Johnson to get out in front of, and you really don't want the pitcher handling a ball like that either.
Going back to the opposite.
Yeah, you know what will happen there is hopefully the pitcher is the one that teaches him. You know, if you've got a guy who's pull all the time, and pitchers start pounding him away or start throwing backdoor breaking balls, things that you really can't pull effectively on a regular basis, that hitter's going to have to make adjustments. And you know, and there are some tremendous power hitters who go the other way at a very high level. You know, Miguel Cabrera comes to mind, one of the great right-handed hitters of our generation, drives the ball the other way with tremendous power and authority.
Without stride sometimes.
Yes, and that's why he really didn't strike out much during the heart of his career, for a power hitter anyway.
I talked to Luke Johnson about Miguel Cabrera. We talked about him as somebody that really studies hitters and catchers to make himself and the guys he coaches better. And he says, I saw him in spring. He looks real good.
He did. He sure did.
0-1 is outside. And
after the pandemic, too.
Right.
You look, I mean, I don't.
The tone nature is the thing that screams at you.
Most of us throughout America put on a few pounds during the pandemic, but not Miguel Cabrera.
My daily walks still don't do what I want them to do right now. 1-1 is off the elbow, I think. Ouch.
That's why I'm looking at the unwitch, like we talked about earlier.
I was wondering what's going on. We've had some guys hit in bad spots this year.
We have far too many, really.
I'm interested to see whether we see Freddie Geely later this week.
Yep. Sounds like he may be okay. Maybe not with Sam Troyer, though. I know he took one, too, and that one's going to be a setback, I'm afraid.
Yeah, they were afraid it would be broken. Was supposed to get an X-ray on Monday. Did not hear results on that. But Garrett Keeper trying to keep it rolling. He's 2 for 2 today. Scored 2 runs. Pair of singles. For a leadoff guy who is 3 for 13 coming with a pair of runs, that's great to see if you're Paul Nickenbrugger here.
No, for sure. Don't really see any stirring in the Hoppers' pen right now. We'll see if they played a couple of runs here, if that changes.
Might be trying to get him through this third inning here. It's 2 outs, bases juiced. Is nice pull-in job there by Johnson behind the dish. Here's the 0-1 now. Roped, foul. That's one of those dangerous ones that tries to curl around the bag. Most of the time, the third baseman, unless he's trying to hug the line, is not going to get it, and it ends up all the way down the line in the end.
Yeah, especially at this ballpark, if it tucks over toward that Buff Whalen sign, there's a lot of space over there.
Everybody back for the most part with the bases loaded and 2 outs on the infield. Outfield shaded slightly towards left center with McCoy on the other end of the flagpole. Collins 1 pitch away from getting out of this. That's behind Keeper, and Johnson has to scramble back to ensure that Goulet remains at third.
That's a little bit of a helpless feeling as a hitter when you see that ball going behind you. You don't know where to go. Of course, he'd happy to take one off the thigh there or something harmless and get himself an RBI, I'm sure.
Well, he even came close to that jersey. That's all it takes.
Yep.
Clips your jersey, that's an HBP. That's the best kind, right?
Absolutely.
You don't feel it, but you get on base.
As long as the umpire sees it.
And you get an RBI in this situation as
right.
well. 1-2 off the knee protector of Johnson, going to score the 5th run of the game. He has to chase this down as it keeps on rolling. No more advancement, but Goulet is the big one. And, boy, this Mammoths offense has come alive here tonight. In this inning, a walk to Goulet, who just came around to score. Then the single by Jones put runners on first and second. The high pop-out came to Gray at first base, and then the hit by pitch able to load the bases. In the end, it's a 5-0 game now in favor of the Mammoths. Another Safe at Home play sponsored by Macomb County. Make Macomb safe at home. Landon Barnes on deck. Your Zach Hart agency man on deck here as an 83-mile-per-hour off speed is outside. Zane Collins, one of the guys that Paul Nochi took along with him to play the Kia Tigers of the KBO down in Florida. 5 games in 7 days. Opportunity I'm sure they'll never forget. Pretty neat. And for some of those guys, I mean, those KBO guys are in the limelight now on ESPN, at least until Friday. Not sure what their plans are after Major League Baseball starts. I mean, they could cover those as normal because they're in the wee hours of the morning.
That's true. Maybe they should just put them on live, yeah.
Sure, they'll be on ESPN, but maybe they got all those channels.
Oh, sure.
Here's the full count delivery again. Got a good piece of that one, but remains foul. Kieber working the count. He picked the first pitch he saw in the second and got a single. This is at-bats in the first, second, and third now for Garrett. Already the 6th man to the plate. They sent 7 in the second and 6 also in the first. Up the box, Pontius throws against his body. Good pick and
nice
good
pick.
Job to stay in the bag as well by Gray over there.
Good footwork.
Another run etched across the board here for the Mammoths. It's Goulet who touches the plates. 5-0 in favor of the home squad here tonight on the USPBL Network, presented by Hollywood Markets.
Detroit Mercy really models a value-based education. They focus a lot on service, which provides so many different experiences and opportunities that allows us to tie in everything we learn, how to apply that outside of the class.
There are a number of different programs that we're a part of to help bring the community back and revitalize the city of Detroit. Doing service with the community really helps bring Detroit Mercy outside of the gates and to everyone.
Detroit Mercy. Build a boundless future.
The Chevy Trax from your Metro Detroit Chevy dealers has a sporty, compact design that makes it the perfect SUV for everywhere you like to roll. Lease a 2020 Trax LT front-wheel drive for just $222 a month. Put it in D and see why Chevy drives the Motor City.
Now, it's a whole new ball game at your Metro Detroit Chevy dealers. Right now, you can lease an all-new 2020 Chevy Equinox LT Forward for just $261 a month. Yeah, just $261 for 36 months. That's already a better deal from what I'm paying. I have to go over there. Put in D and see why Chevy drives the Motor City. Visit ChevyDetroit.com. That's ChevyDetroit.com.
think I've got at least one vehicle coming up here.
Do you?
Yeah, actually, it was due, I think, in the heart of the pandemic there, and they gave me some extra months, so I'm probably coming right up on it.
Yeah, mine's due up in October. Jared Wright has looked super solid so far today. Just 2 base runners, 3 strikeouts. His base runner in the second was a walk. Then he struck out Grise, and his base runner in the third was via the leadoff error to Kieber, but he just went pop out, strikeout. He tries to set him down again here in the fourth. I mean, the way he's been going, we might see a 5th today by Wright.
I could see that. Been pretty efficient.
Ben McKendall had a pretty good start for this Mammoths team on Sunday. I asked Paul Nickenberger about that, whether he pondered, trekking McKendall out for another inning. Here's the first pitch to Johnson, and he says, the delay certainly secured the fact that he wasn't going back out there, but his pitch count was up. But McKendall looked good again.
He sure did.
One of the bigger time prospects here in the league. 1-0 is a little blinder that's going to get over the head of Barnes for a base hit.
I think had he stayed in the game, that would have been their game to win, certainly.
And we're talking about September or August. I think you might see him come back out after the delay because it was 30 minutes. I mean, that's kind of the cutoff, right, when it comes to pitchers?
Yeah, I think at this stage of the year, I just didn't want to take a chance with that. It did, somewhat look like the game was in hand, too, to some degree. It didn't end up working out that way.
They're using kind of the 60, 70 pitch threshold right now, and some of these managers feeling out their pitcher. Vaughn Joshua has already done that a couple times with his pitching staff.
This isn't even really a typical, 3 weeks into the season for the USPBL, because usually by the time you get to that point, a lot of these guys had pitched elsewhere first. Some of them are coming from college still, and there's guys that already have innings under their belt even by the time they get here.
And I guess that's the only benefit of the pandemic. And, USPBL really the only show going on at this level. Obviously, you're going to see Major League Baseball start up this Friday, but only thing for them is the taxi squad. So they're not even going to play regular games. I'm sure they'll have quite a few inter squads to keep those guys fresh. That's all about.
Did they say if one club's taxi squad will play against another? Did they talk about that at all?
I haven't seen the latest. I think it was one of the rumors out there, but it's not going to be a constant thing, I don't think. Because I think the main thing is travel on that front. This one low and inside. Almer doing a good job of coming out of the crouch there. But that's going to be tough. Think about it. It's going to be. Obviously you get to work out every day, probably to some extent, but still, we talk so much about how different, BP fastballs are to game action.
Oh, no doubt.
And that's going to be a little bit more than that. I'm sure you're going to have some simulated action, but still, those are your own guys. Those are guys you see every day.
There are some careers that have ended as a result of this. There's no question. If there's someone who is going to be in AAA this year and they're getting into their late 20s or their early 30s or something like that, and this season doesn't happen, that might be the end of the road for them.
And when in there for strike 3 is Gray set down.
And that was a Sherwin-Williams.
It's a Sherwin-Williams painted on the black, called third strike. First out here in the fourth is Wright trying to work out of this leadoff single. Jared with his second start here tonight. His first was a relief appearance versus Utica on July 11th. He pitched 3 innings, no hits, 1 walk, 2 Ks. They knew this guy was going to be a starter. That was just a instance that they wanted to get him some work. And Wright's a guy who wants to work out more. He wants to, throw bullpens a little bit more normally. He's going to high school fields and throwing it into the fence, but he's still getting his work in to some extent.
Right. Got to be creative these days.
Here's a line drive to center. Howard stared at that one to make sure he got the angle and darted back to center field for out number 2.
Yeah, that first weekend we only had the 2 games here. The Woolly Mammoths opened up against the defending champion Unicorns. So that, that first weekend, I think they wanted to piece together those innings with as many different guys as possible, because they knew they wouldn't, probably wouldn't play again until later the next week.
Wright trying to get some dirt out of his cleats here. Greg Vaughn Jr. gets another opportunity. Coached his 5th walk of the young campaign earlier. Stranded on second base after the strikeout to Grise. Wright has ended every inning in style with a K so far.
He has. Taking matters into his own hands with 2 outs.
All of them whiffing. Here's the 0-1. Hot on the ground, shortstop side. Great play by Keeber as he shifts it to Barnes at second base. And again, Wright sees a single base runner. This time the leadoff man here in the 4th inning, but nothing comes across. So if that's it for Jared Wright, it's a great outing, but we might see him for a 5th inning.
I would expect to.
Take a look at the USPBL standings, brought to you by Scott's, also the fine sponsor of our grounds crew as well. This Hopper squad kind of searching for a victory. They come into play at 4-3, and on the other side, the Mammoths at 0-5. So they're looking for their first victory here tonight, and they've got a good start towards that, Dan.
They sure do, and I wouldn't count them out. We're very early here, and all it takes is a little run, a little bit of a winning streak, and before you know it, they're contending for first place again.
You got the Genesis Credit Union quick change going on right here. How about this? Looks like our man with the unicorn uniform did a real nice job there.
Unicorn uniform, that's a tough one.
I know, right?
It's even a professional like you has trouble getting that one out.
I'm going to have to say that 5 times to get
maybe
warmed
that's
up.
Maybe that's how
New York?
Yeah, that's how we'll warm up next time. Unicorn uniform.
The Human Torch was denied a bank loan. Mark Wright on YouTube says 18 looking good. I agree, Mark. V. Dino says go Anthony. Larry Kubiak reacting to one of the plays tonight says nice. Mark Wright said nice hands Jones to that as well. Larry Kubiak with some nice words for our call so far tonight as well. We encourage you to chime in on both Facebook and YouTube. We can watch interchangingly on both. You see the same stream, just a different platform. And we encourage everybody to not only subscribe on YouTube. Our YouTube subscriptions have gone through the roof, so we thank you for anyone watching here today. Hey, comment if you have subscribed so far. We want to hear from you. Why? Do you like what we got going here in our broadcast? We've expanded it today. You saw us on camera. Hopefully you looked the other way, though.
I wonder if anyone out there is saying, that's not what I expected that guy to look like about either of us. I know I feel that way when I see someone who's on the radio for the first time. I've often felt that way.
Are we taller? Are we shorter? Are we fatter? Are we?
I'm guessing shorter could be the thing for either one of us.
The camera does add some weight to you, so don't make too many judgments until you see us in person here.
Right. And we hope to see many more of you in person.
Absolutely. 2-3-4, 2 up here in the 4th inning for the Mammoths. It's a hot offense in the early goings of this one. And there's a play by Smith, and he's going to get his 3rd error as it's launched down the first base line. And in stride across second base is Barnes. He is going to hold up in the end.
The ball's really finding McCoy right now. Smith. The ball's really finding him over at third base. It's a cruel game that way. He's having trouble with his throws today, and they keep testing him.
And Dan, all of them have been off the bat of Landon Barnes.
Yes, that's a that's a good point. I mean, on the downside for Landon, it seems like he's a little bit out front and beating the ball into the ground, but it's hard to really criticize him at this point. He's been on base 3 times, but yeah, it's a tough one for Smith. That one he really dropped down and the ball sailed on him. I mean, that one was so far over the first baseman's head, JJ took off for it. He thought he was playing fetch.
He was beelining it down the first base line.
Yeah, he was. JJ thought that was a game for him.
Looking for a TCF Bank stolen base there, maybe.
Could be.
Sam Little today, 1 for 2. Walked in the second, drove in a run.
strange to look down at that scorecard and see 3 E5s for Landon Barnes.
0-1 on the ground, second base side. Pontius fields it off to the side, and that almost works as a sacrifice as Barnes scurries to third.
Yeah, not a bad piece of hitting there for Sam Little. You know, as a left-handed hitter, man on second, nobody out. You try to pull a ball there. You know, worst case scenario, you're going to advance the runner. It's, you know, job well done.
Those are the productive at-bats that these coaches have been calling for. And again, nobody really panicking as we enter week 4 of this season. But, you know, it's around this point where, yes, they do want to start to see production.
A somewhat easy job potentially here for McClellan to drive one in. Playing back in the middle. So on a ground ball to second or short, it's going to get the run in, and obviously a fly ball deep to the outfield is going to get the run in. So as a cleanup man here, he can get himself another RBI with good contact.
Justin Orenduff, you know, the director of player ops here at the USPBL, says the same, that the first 2 weeks, you know, stretching into 3, if you want to count week 1. I mean, like you said, only 2 games. So is it counted? Yes, but at the same time, it's not the same amount of games that these guys are used to seeing on a week-by-week basis. But those first 2-3 weeks were spring training for these guys.
Right.
Here's the 2-0 to McClellan. Good swing on that one over the rising glove of Maselli, and that's going to plate another run. 6-0 Mammoths here in the 4th.
Yeah, you can start to see the at-bats from McClellan that his manager saw, you know, for moving him up in the order. He's making good contact, driving the ball. He barely got that one over Maselli's glove, but enough for another RBI.
Some action down in the Hoppers' pen now. Looks like they're just getting going, though.
It looks to be Rabin Martin, maybe?
Yep, and Darnell stretching. So maybe back-to-back innings for those two if things pan out the way Paul Nochi wants. But the script has been flipped on this Hopper squad. I mean, they were out to a rolling start. I mean, their pitching was setting guys down early on in the season, and all it took was that doubleheader in the Beavers offense to awaken all of a sudden. Now into the game here on a Wednesday night. First pitch to Webb Little, flubbed to the right side. Pontius backing up. Second out he's recorded in this 4th.
The Westside left fielder, Josh Goulet.
Here's Josh Goulet now. Another one of those taxi squad guys. 0 for 1 today. Did have a walk and a run scored back in inning number 3. And if you're Zane Collins, you just want to get out of this inning without any more run scored.
Yeah, and probably call it a day at that point.
Pickoff move, not a bad one over to first base. But that's the benefit of a lefty, yeah? I mean,
yeah, it's a very important part of their game. You really want to have a motion from the stretch there that's well balanced, and you want to practice some different things. Maybe have the step back move as well, where you step back off the rubber with your left foot. That allows you to quickly throw over there if you see a guy with a really big lead.
2-0 now on Josh Goulet. That's going to be enough for another base hit as it's out of the reach of Pontius.
They're really driving the ball up the middle really well today, too. It's a nice approach. You know, they're not trying to pull the ball. They're just keeping it simple, driving it through the middle. I mean, we must have seen 4 or 5 balls past Collins like that already today, at least.
Here's Keandre Jones now. He's got a single back in the 3rd inning. McCoy shading to the left side here. Jones got enough of that one to lift it in the air, but Maselli is going to pick that up. So another run does scratch across. That's like the last inning for Zane Collins, but a big 6-0 lead for the Mammoths here. Take a look at the Scott's standings here in the USPBL. So Scott's ground screw comes out. That's perfect timing. Unicorns on top at 5-1. The Hoppers below them at 5-3. The Beavers getting hot at 4-4. The Mammoths trying to launch their first victory of the season. It could come here tonight the way they're looking.
We could see those standings really start to bunch together, too. As we get deeper into the schedule, the teams will start to even out in terms of the number of games that they've played. As you can see, the Hoppers and the Unicorns even in the win column, but the Hoppers have, will be, 3 games on them now after tonight's game. So we'll start to see that bunch together a little bit more.
Larry Zurbrick says checking in from Valley Springs, California. So hello, Larry. Terry King representing Chandler, Arizona. So we thank everyone for tuning in here tonight. Certainly if you haven't, go download that Buffalo Wild Wings coupon. It's in your chat.
It's really been a fun part of our broadcast to see, the reach of this thing across the country. Of course, we have players from all over the country, and it's great to see their fans tuning in.
So Jared Wright out for his 5th inning of work here today. Not a surprise, as it's been a fairly quick first 4 frames. Single base runners in the last 3 innings. You saw a walk with 2 outs in the second, and then a error in the third, and a single in the fourth. But all of them have been stranded before the 4th by strikeouts.
If he can get through this inning, it might be enough of a bridge to go right to John Murphy, who's been, a plus fastball type guy at the back of the bullpen, who can potentially come in and close down games. Hasn't been terrific every time he's been out there yet, but he's got a great arm. Certainly the potential to be a closer for this team.
Raven Martin still warming up down the right field line for the Diamond Hoppers. You talk about John Murphy. It was a rough outing for him on Sunday. I mean, it was a rough outing for all pitchers, it seemed like.
Yes.
2 innings, just a couple hits, but he did uncork 3 walks and 3 earned runs. 45 pitches through those 2 innings, so he'd love a chance at redemption here tonight.
No doubt.
Your Zach Hart Agency 3 men due up is the bottom of the order here in the 5th for the Hoppers. Grise, Pontius, McCoy. They're combined 0 for 3 thus far tonight. The sun starts to peek back up over our left shoulder here. Starting to set on a real nice Wednesday night. Muggy to start, but the sun and the cloud cover has diminished that a little bit. These are kind of murky clouds.
A little bit, yep.
Above us. Not sure they're rain clouds as this one rides high 2-1.
The pitch previous to that one, the fastball, was at 89. He's, maintaining his velocity fairly well for being into the 5th inning here, which is, as far as he's gone this year.
2-1 hits the corner. Good job by Elmer as well to pull it back slightly. There's a look at those clouds covering nearly the whole diamond here in Utica. Great slider down low at 82 for strike 3.
That's the put-away pitch. These Hoppers hitters should start to anticipate that when they have 2 strikes. He's been going to it a lot. In fact, he's got Grice with it twice.
Jared Wright's father saw some time in the minor leagues, so he's been helping him with some tweaks over the offseason, along with Greg Hibbert. He's in charge of pitching development for the Texas Rangers. So Wright was a long arm guy, pretty much all throughout college. He's coming from sort of a 3/4 angle. He doesn't exactly call it that. He's shortened up just a little bit, and he likes this new angle he's coming from in the right hand.
As long as you can maintain your velocity from that, it can be a benefit. It's a little bit tougher for the hitter to see. It gets on you a little bit quicker. Your 90-mile-per-hour fastball can really play more like 93, 94 in reality. You don't get quite the same look at it as a hitter.
Justin Ornduff likes what he sees so far. He says he works out real hard. I mean, that's evident in a guy who doesn't have the resources to throw bullpens, but he's doing it by himself sometimes.
Can always find an open field.
Fly ball to center. Howard for out number 2. And I think that speaks volumes because some guys, think they've gotten to this level. They've played Division I baseball. I don't need to do that, or I don't need to go to the extra workout. But, that makes the difference.
Right.
It's not like Justin isn't talking to these scouts, too, to try to get these guys to the next level. He certainly is. Does a great job of marketing these players. So, you see that. You see the extra effort put in on the side, and sometimes that goes a longer way to catching somebody's eye.
And there's been a tendency in the game of baseball lately to go with a lot of specialized training and organized practice and things like that. And those things are all great. They're all incredibly helpful, but you have to put in work on your own too. You have to work out on your own. You have to do those extras on your own. Kids need to throw a ball against the wall. Kids need to take swings in their backyard, and that's how you get better and how you can differentiate yourself sometime.
Here's the 2-0 pitch. Swing and a miss. McCoy blown by at 89 there. McCoy pretty solid in the field trying to get this bat to perk up. Has hit at the bottom of most orders he's been a part of thus far. Sounds like a broken bat sinking into the glove of Jones there. 1-2-3 breeze for Jared Wright. Boy, has he looked good this evening.
Tough to take him out at this point.
We head to the bottom of the 5th after this here on the US PBL Network.
At Priority Health, we're embarking on a new normal, embracing the changes needed to keep Michigan safe. While that may look a little different for everyone, Priority Health is here to help. With access to the care you need, the doctors you want, and the quality coverage you can afford. So you can get back to this, and this, safely, steadily, and with the smartest health coverage possible.
At HealthQuest Physical Therapy, our results can change your life. Whether you're in pain, you just had surgery, or experienced an injury, let us help. You have many options when it comes to choosing physical therapy. Choose the best. Choose HealthQuest. With over 25 convenient locations, we are your one-stop source for pain relief. Call today or visit us online at hqpt.com to schedule your free pain assessment.
All right, welcome back, everyone. I'm here with Alec Olin. And, Alec, it's so good to see you. It's been a minute. So the Westside Woolly Mammoths are looking for their first win tonight. You guys are looking to tack on another win to your record this season. It's been a little bit of a wild ride to get off the start. So what has been the message from Paul Nochi for you guys to get yourself started?
Just play the game, obviously tonight we have one hit, down, I think, 5 or 6-0. Hitting balls hard, just right at guys, but sometimes it's the nature of the game. Paul's a really good manager, just tells us to keep playing the game. Obviously, it's a really hard game surrounded with failure. But just keep playing. it's the nature of it. Just continue to grind it out and see what happens.
Absolutely. So, we've been grinding it out. Like you said, learn from failure. So what are some things that you've learned through this weird time that you guys have been thrown into this new game day situation?
Yeah, kind of just be adaptable. And having adjustments. It's the nature of our game, too. In a lot of sports, you're making adjustments constantly. And I think right now we're doing that even off the field, and getting emails like be at the field at this time, and just living day by day. And then right now just inning by inning, kind of just seeing how things go and kind of just living in the moment. And same thing that Paul keeps saying is just play the game, enjoy it, and just be adaptable.
Awesome. And Alec, what does it feel like to be back here at the field?
Yeah, it feels great. Just obviously the last few months there's a lot of uncertainty. It just feels good to be around the guys again, kind of just in the moment. And we don't know how long it's going to go, so just enjoying it.
Awesome. Thank you, Alec Olin, everyone. Back to the game. Jeremy.
Thanks, Chelsea. That's your first socially distanced interview that you'll see of many going forward.
First of many.
So if it looks awkward from a television standpoint, we're following protocol. Yeah. That's all. Governor Whitmer, do you see that?
It may look awkward because it is awkward for now.
Another reason to continue to expand on everything we're doing here because
yeah, we promise we can socially distance here. We've proven it. This place has a lot of open space.
Jamal Howard leading it off in the 5th for this Woolly Mammoth squad. 6-0 their lead. Solid contact, but foul back onto Auburn Street over there. It's another Hoffman Dental pitching change. Raven Martin onto the bump now for the Hoppers. 6th appearance of the year. Nasty at 67 for strike 3.
That was a nice pitch. Obviously, they're in a deficit situation here, but Raven Martin's certainly the type of guy who could maybe settle into a setup type role for this team. Dugan Darnell probably more the closer type, but having a lefty like this possibly as that bridge between the starter and Darnell could be a valuable piece. Thought his velo started to lag a little bit his last time out, so need to keep an eye on that, but certainly had a nice breaking ball there early in this one.
Struggle with the walk a little bit as he will hit Brett Elmer here. That's the second time that Elmer's been hit in this game as he trots over to first base. So 6 appearances now for Martin. He's 7 innings deep, 3 hits, 1 run. It wasn't earned. And now 2 hit batters on the year for Martin.
Elmer seems to be inviting that lefty-on-lefty curveball, and twice today it got away from him a little bit, and he took it in the back.
Garrett Kieber has kicked off this offense well today.
Sure has.
Singles in the first and second, came around to score in both appearances on base as well. That one poured in at 88 by Martin. This guy's a strike thrower. Fastball, curveball. Curve can be reliable when he controls it.
Has nice depth. If he's able to control that on a regular basis, it's going to be a weapon.
And Justin Orndorff just wants him to be a little bit crisper. They thought, like you said, that's affected his velocity. 1-1 curveball is lifted foul. That hit something.
Yeah. That breaking ball quite a bit faster than the one he threw previously. Not sure if he throws it a couple different ways, if he's got one that's maybe more of a slider, but a noticeable difference in velocity. And there's that step back move we referenced earlier.
Strikeout to Jamal Howard to begin this inning. Then the hit batter to Almer. He faces Kieber, and then Landon Barnes is next. Your Zach Hart agency man on deck. Now the 1-2. Darts low at 89. I think Martin wanted that call as Johnson did a pretty decent job of holding it.
Johnson's a pretty good receiver back there. We've talked about him, quite a bit tonight, but certainly a student of the game who's doing a nice job behind the plate. Yeah, he was upset about that one. Another one got away from him. That time, not a breaking ball. Just pulled that fastball across his body a little bit.
Well, all the on-base percentages for these Woolly Mammoths team is going to go up a couple points, I think, by the end of today.
Definitely. Landon Barnes on base 4 times now. Of course, 3 of them doesn't count towards his on-base percentage because they were all E5s, but still.
He scored twice. Right?
Yeah, he's still doing a job for the club.
Big gap in right center field with his righty up. You have Vaughn off the line, and then McCoy on the other side of the flagpole. That's where he plays often. Has good speed out there in center field. First pitch to Barnes at 85 for strike 1.
You think he'll hit a chopper to the third baseman again?
He just might. Why not if you're Landon? I mean, obviously it's not helping your average, but
I guarantee Jalen Smith goes and steps on third base this time if he gets one.
not too far away from that bag, so I think that's a good assumption. Baseball's funny though, isn't it? I mean,
the ball finds you when you know, it's almost as if the baseball knows when you might be lacking confidence or if you've had a rough day.
Here's the 0-2. That one is back. Barnes, Little, McClellan, 2, 3, 4 in the order here. Barnes bandled on his middle at bat. It was a 3-2 count. Quite a few 3-ball counts for Collins when he was out there through 4 complete. Looks him back to second base there.
Now we've talked about the Scots ground screw a little bit, but the field's looking pretty good.
It is. Yeah, the infield looks really good. They've battled through some
heat
rain.
waves.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's been excessive rain at times, but also heat waves, long droughts.
0-2 curveball. Hit to Smith there. Diving plate tags. Third goes over to first.
I'm sorry for interrupting your call there, Jeremy, by laughing. I just couldn't help. I couldn't help it that time. We basically predicted that play, didn't we? That's a great stab there by Jalen, able to pop up and tag the bag as we thought might happen, but Landon Barnes having a strange day where he's hit all 4 balls over to the third baseman.
Your Teller public address announcer announces that as our TCF Bank play of the game. From a mental standpoint and probably a aesthetic standpoint too. First pitch curveball was low.
Yeah, Jalen needed that one.
2 down, runners on first and second here as Kieber advances to second base. Sam Little had a single in his middle at bat in the second. Ground out and a pop out his other 2. 1-0 pitch at 86 for strike 1. Jeremy Otto alongside Dan Griesbaum Jr. to bring the call here tonight. PJ Gradowski, our director. Jeremiah Hergott, our graphics man. 1-1 is low. Rabin Martin trying to put up the first empty inning this game, as this one is fouled off. You saw 1 run come across in the first, 2 in the second, a single in the third, and another single run in the fourth to surmount to this 6-0 lead in the bottom of inning number 5. Here's the even pitch now. Curveball low. Both Littles really like to hit on the line, both Sam and Webb. Just like Sunday, they're hitting 3rd and 5th, and Paul Nickenbrugge's order here. The infield spread out in Pontius and Maselli with 2 gone. Staring back, Kieber is Martin here.
They've got a combo out there that could certainly pull off a double steal if they got a good roll. But, of course, 3-2 count right now, so it's not really in play.
They are moving, as expected. That's knocked down like a hockey goalie there by Smith. Throws to first and got it in time. So a solid job to stay with that one. And good to see for Smith. Makes 2 bounce-back plays here in inning number 5. So we head to the 6th inning. This Diamond Hoppers offense looking to get it going. It's not too often where they've been kept scoreless. We saw that in Game 2 of the doubleheader last Saturday. It was a 7-0 game. Let's send it down to Chelsea Estes once again on the field.
All right, welcome back, everyone. We want to make a big congratulations to a well-deserving senior, Ming Lei from Novi High School. Ming Lei was the captain of the varsity POM team and a member of the Mid-American All-Stars team. She also coached junior POM for 6 years. Congratulations, Ming Lei, and to all the deserving graduating seniors this year. This is brought to you by Michigan School and Graduate Credit Union. Jeremy, back to you guys.
Thank you, Chelsea. Certainly congrats to our high school spotlight here today. It's so unfortunate for, all the high school student athletes at the end part of the winter season, the whole spring season, as we've talked about with your squad coming off a state championship and not getting that chance to repeat or at least defend it in Division I, and now falls in question. I mean, good on the MHSAA to say, hey, we're going to give it the old college try to make sure everything's the same here in the fall and just keep football and keep some of these contact sports and see what happens. They're scheduled to start practice on August 10th. Will the season kick off on time? I mean, my gut says no, but I'm hopeful for all those athletes that, yes, they do have a season as normal.
A really forgotten one, too, which you alluded to there briefly, that a lot of the winter sports were right in the heart of their championships. I think, if I recall correctly, I think basketball was down to its quarterfinal.
Yep, exactly.
And, I think something similar with hockey. And, I mean, what a level of frustration that must exist there. As you mentioned, I've been involved with some teams that have won championships or contended for championships and that kind of thing. And sometimes you win and sometimes you don't win, but you always have a chance to play it out on the field. And I can't imagine getting to a Final Four or a Final Eight or something like that and not having the chance to either win it or lose it. I mean, the level of frustration there would never go away, I don't think.
Well, I think the good thing that the MHSA did was wait it out, but that also had to be grueling. I mean, because you're sitting there, and yes, you're still in the quarterfinals, and probably in the back of your mind, you think, hey, are we really going to play again?
Right.
But this glimmer of hope was there for a long time, and they really dragged it out until the beginning of summer before they called it quits. Swing and a miss.
I think it'll create a generation of student athletes and I think a generation of people that will probably never take anything for granted again. And that's not such a bad thing ultimately, but it's just a great reminder. You have to enjoy every opportunity you have to play the game.
Stepping off is right, and as Dan mentioned, he's out there for his 6th inning of work. This is the furthest that any starter has gone in USPBL action this year. 0-2, curveball, passed right. He let it go, and Barnes cannot get him over there.
That's really a ball that Wright had to get. He took an awkward step there. I hope he didn't hurt himself there. That looked like a ball that he should have got to, and he took kind of a funny step. He seems to be wandering around out there a little bit. I hope he didn't hurt himself.
So Jared Wright slowly going back to the mound. Looks like he's okay. No training staff coming out. Going to face Jalen Smith here. It's 1-2-3 in the order due up for the Hoppers. Your Zach Hart agency 3 men due up. First pitch to Smith. Fly ball left field on a line, hugging the foul pole, and that one is going to go foul. Oh, man. Sigh of relief for Jared Wright and from the man at the plate and Jalen Smith.
You know what, fair or foul, I got to give Jalen Smith a lot of credit for these last couple innings. He's really bounced back from a rough start to this game by making some nice defensive plays and took a great swing there.
Can't take your fielding to the plate and vice versa, right?
Yep, absolutely. But it's far easier said than done.
Got Dugan Darnell warming up in the Hoppers pen. He'll likely come out in the next half.
Between Martin and Darnell, they can keep their team close, but the offense has to get going here.
0-1 outside. Good stop by Almer as well. You got some action limited down in the Mammoths pen. Just a little bit of stretching, it looks like. That's
maybe Murphy.
Yep. Number 7 down there.
Can tell by the big body, the big boy.
I'm sure he's itching to get back in there after Sunday.
Definitely, he'd love to nail down this win. First win of the season for the Mammoths potentially.
Golf to left, Golay. Did he trap it or did he catch it? He caught it out there in left field for out number 1. Good job of staying under that one.
Another good swing for Smith. He really bounced back, like we said, after a very tough start to this ballgame.
Luke Johnson gets his 3rd shot here in the 6th, a single back in the 4th, and a strikeout in the 1st.
Think back to that matchup he had with Wright previously in a Hoppers win. Really the only blemish on Wright's day, that home run to deep center field. Not a bad pitch. It was a 3-1 count, ball that was down and away, and he just lined it deep to center field.
Elmer pulls that one back in for a strike. We talked about how closely Luke Johnson is watching his walk to strikeout ratio, just about even, which is where he wants it to be after the strikeout today, 4 walks to 6 Ks. And I mean, he admits, I'm a power guy too, so I'm going to strike out here and again. Well, one is on the ground foul, but I mean, you talk about a guy who has control of what he's doing, and Luke Johnson is that.
Something to watch with power guys too is do they adjust with 2 strikes? And there's not necessarily a correct answer to that. There's some guys like Miguel Cabrera who do adjust. They widen out a little bit. They try to go more to the opposite field. And there's other power guys who just take their same swing with 2 strikes. And as a result of that type of approach, you will strike out a lot more. But some guys think it's worth it to maybe hit a few extra home runs that way.
Swing and a miss at the top of the zone at 89. Jared Wright able to blow it by him for out number 2. That's a big-time strikeout.
Wright has really maintained his stuff into the 6th here, and as you mentioned, this is as far as anyone's gone in this young season.
A strikeout in every inning. He's got 6. You're in the top of inning number 6. Run first with 2 outs. So 6 runs off 8 hits and 1 error for the Mammoths thus far. No runs off 2 hits and 4 errors for the Hoppers. Hoppers have been out-hit by their opponents, especially lately in the last 3. 6 more today, so that means it's 46-40 in terms of offensive output.
Wright's really been in that 87 to 91 range all day. Not as much 91 the last couple innings, but he's maintained that 88, 89.
Good stop by Elmer there. Elmer, a really hard worker out there for the Mammoths or whatever team he's playing for on the taxi squad. .88 for strike 1. Encourage you to chime in on the chat scene as well. Facebook, YouTube, we got some comments to get to soon. Leadoff single here in the 6th inning by Wright, trying to strand another base runner. He's not seen more than 1 base runner before now. Second free pass of the game. His first was back in the 2nd as Vaughn Jr.
Doesn't look like the type of visit where they'd be taking him out of the game. Manager really jogged out there. Normally you take more of a slow stroll if you're going to take the guy out, but might just want to talk to him about how he's feeling.
Murphy is officially throwing now down the left field line. He was stretching to start this inning. Now Paul Nickenberg is going to have a conversation with the home plate umpire. Are they bringing him out now?
Murphy looks surprised. I hope he's ready.
Very.
Kind of shrugging his shoulders. We'll see what kind of outing he has here. If he has a good one, he may adjust his routine going forward.
It's an interesting comment here on Facebook from John Matthews. He says, "Go quick, Drew McCoy. Once Andrew told me and his host mom Diane that he goes by Drew. It didn't take me long to come up with a nickname for him based on one of my favorite cartoons as a kid called Quick Draw McGraw, but unlike Quick Draw McGraw, who is a fictional character, Quick Drew is, wait for it, the real McCoy." So some puns there by John Matthews. We appreciate it.
Nice.
Sue Martin says she's watching from Dallas, Georgia. Go Rabin, number 40. Lisa Tokarich is watching from La Jolla, California. So we thank everybody for tuning in here tonight and have another Hoffman Dental pitching change here. Well, regardless, I'm sure Jared Wright won't like the walk to finish his outing, but he looked good out there, Dan.
Yeah, he sure did. I think, maybe started to hit a wall a little bit there, and that's why they made the change. I think that change was not necessarily expected, as was evidenced by Murphy's reaction coming in, but that's as far as a pitcher has been extended. He ended up closing the book on him at 5 2/3, but did a terrific job. Got all of his pitches over the plate for the most part. He really maintained his velocity throughout the outing, and he's on a nice roll here early in the season. He's someone that is probably going to settle into that number 2 starter spot for the Mammoths, it looks like, going forward. Along with McKendall, we'll see who maybe develops after that in their rotation. But gave his team a great chance to win this ball game, and he's going to turn it over to his closer now.
Well, we've talked about it in terms of relievers at any stage of baseball. It's tough to look at their numbers sometimes, especially early on in the season, and draw a whole lot. ERA is always a kind of a crapshoot when it comes to relievers. 6.75, and obviously through 3 appearances, that doesn't mean much. But 4 innings on the year, 3 hits, 3 runs, all 3 of those coming in his last appearance, keep in mind. 6 walks, 6 Ks. Again, 3 walks also coming in the last appearance. So don't look too far into those numbers and say, hey, what's he doing as the closer here?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing with him is the walks. With his stuff, if he can come after hitters a little bit more, he's going to have success.
First pitch fastball is low. Riley Mahalik, the first man to face John Murphy. Jared Wright finished with 6 Ks here tonight. The last out he got for the second out here in the 6th inning. High and away, 2-0. Fastball slider for Murphy. That slider's got some good bite as well. Threw as high as 95 in the early goings of this season, 2 outings ago. The gun not working right now, but that one in for strike 1. Setting brought to you by Weingarts and United Shore. See 2 of our fine sponsors on the foul pole and the Chevrolet Pavilion out there as well in left field. 2-1. 90. Fought it off to the screen. Tina Marie Schneider says hello from Kentucky, go Hoppers. Anna Young says, I miss baseball. Well, you're watching it now, Anna. Has this brought it back for you?
Stay with us.
Runners on first and second with 2 outs. 2s are wild here. 2-2 is low at 90.
Fastball's a little bit down. You can tell he hadn't quite cranked it up in the bullpen yet. But 90, obviously nothing to sneeze at anyway.
And they recognize the slider is really good, but they also want him to blow away guys with the fastball when it comes to 2 strike counts. Runners moving. 3-2, 2 outs. Fouled back. About to approach the 9 o'clock hour here at Jimmy John's Field in Utica. So glad you could tune in. You're watching United Shore Professional Baseball League action here on the USPBL Network, presented by Hollywood Markets. Jeremy Otto alongside Dan Griesbaum Jr. to bring the call here tonight. Had some good games in the early goings of this season here in Week 4. 6-0 Mammoths here. Runners moving again. Low and inside, he walked him. Close pitch, though.
And that's what he wants to avoid, especially coming into the game with a lead like this. He doesn't need to be walking guys, not with his stuff.
Next up, the right fielder, Greg Vaughn Jr.
put yourself in a tough spot because, you've got the bases loaded now. Greg Vaughn Jr., someone with some pop in his bat. If he gets into one, all of a sudden it's a 6-4 game, and we've got a ball game on our hands again.
Maybe he can channel some of his dad's energy in those 355 big league homers. Boy, Elmer is bringing it in aggressively there, Dan. From the framing perspective.
You never want it to look too aggressive. If you do, it doesn't really accomplish what you're looking to accomplish. You want it to be subtle, and you just want to give the umpire a good look.
Here's the 0-1. 90 high and tight. Heavy dose of fastball here.
Yeah, for sure. He hasn't really gone to the breaking pitch a whole lot. It might not be ready. He may not have started to throw it yet in the pen. There seemed to be a miscommunication there. Not sure exactly what happened, but he wasn't on the same page with his manager in terms of being ready to come out here in the sixth.
Swing and a miss as he maybe got a piece of that as it tipped into the glove of Elmer. They think that Vaughn Jr. has a quick bat. That's been one of the impressive parts for him in the few weeks he's been there. Good fundamentals and mechanics as well. Waiting on the 1-2 pitch. Here it comes. The research department telling us from behind, P.J. Grudowski using his SID skills to the max here. His dad, 4 Major League Grand Slams. That's not too bad.
No, it's not. He just missed that one. He took a pretty good swing on that ball.
Bases loaded here with 2 outs in the 6th. Now the 1-2. Swing and a miss. Murphy bears down and gets a big-time strikeout here in the 6th inning. The Hoppers will lead the bases loaded here, and it's still 6-0 Mammoths as we head to the home half when we get back on the USPBL Network.
Catch the Chevy Colorado at your Metro Detroit Chevy dealers. Lease a 2020 Colorado LT 4-wheel drive crew cab for just $229 a month for 24 months. Put it in D and see why Chevy drives the Motor City.
First State Bank is a locally owned and operated business. We're part of your community. At fsbcares.com, you'll find ways that we're making a difference by featuring locally owned and operated businesses, providing access to helpful financial resources, and engaging with community. FSBcares.com is part of our commitment to the neighborhood because strong neighbors mean stronger communities. Where good neighbors do great things. Member FDIC and Equal Housing Lender.
Great to have you back with us here on the USPBL Network, and an outstanding clean night for baseball here today. The clouds have kind of been around all night, which has made it for a little bit of shade in terms of the sun, which the players, I'm sure, don't mind.
I wouldn't think so. We've had our share of hot days here early in the season. Usually you grow into the hot days. Usually the professional baseball season starts when it's freezing, at least at least in Michigan.
The dog days of August, right?
Right.
Well, what are those going to look like? I don't want to know.
I don't know.
McClellan to lead off this 6th inning for the Woolly Mammoths. Your Zach Hart agency, 3 men up, include him, Webb Little, and Josh Goulet. In a 6-0 game, thanks to 8 hits and 1 error on the side of the Mammoths. No runs, 2 hits, and 4 errors thus far for the Hoppers. Raven Martin stays out there for a 2nd inning. He faced 5 in the 5th. Stranded the bases loaded in the end.
McClellan, the prospect out of Brighton, has put together a nice day so far from the DH spot.
The Bulldog.
Yep.
your
home of Drew Henson, right?
Yeah. 1-1 is low. What's your favorite mascot in the MHSA? Do you got one? Besides
I'm
your
not
team.
allowed to say Blue Devil, I'm sure. That's a good question. There's some great ones. I mean, the Doughboys is a good
Pershing,
one.
Yep.
I'll have to give that some thought. It'll be interesting to follow with some of the Native American type nicknames. If I think one Redskins was already changed.
Red Wolves, I think. Yeah.
Is that, yeah. I think that'll be a trend that probably continues, and that'll be an interesting follow.
How about the Salem Rocks?
Okay, yeah, I like that.
The Ishpeming Hematites.
There's some good ones
up
there.
north.
Right.
2-2 on the ground. Maselli is going to let this one trickle. Throws over to first for our first out in the 6th.
Stepping up for Westside, the third baseman, Webb Little.
Escanaba Eskimos.
Yep.
It's a good one.
Sure.
Got a pretty cool mascot.
Of course, one of your rivals, Brother Rice, is the Warriors. That might be one that maybe with some of the imagery might be questionable.
Sure. Going to see a lot of looks, I think, at those things as everything continues to unfold in terms of that. 0-1 on Webb Little here. He's stuck in an 0 for 3 today. Line out, fly out, pop out. He's one of the few Mammoths who haven't joined the party. 69-mile-per-hour curveball is fouled down the line.
Off JJ's doghouse down there. I'm not sure if he's in there or not, though.
Here's the 0-2. Ooh. Some late movement on that, and I guess Webb Little just got a piece as Johnson couldn't swing it. AAA, always a sponsor of your insurance run of the game. We saw some of those in the 3rd inning for this Mammoth squad. You saw 1 in the 1st, 2 in the 2nd, 1 in the 3rd, another 1 in the 4th as well. Or 3 in the 2nd, I beg your pardon. Howard started it with that home run to left center. Good to see that bat put a charge into one.
Yeah, and that was a no-doubter.
1-2, bounces at 70. Martin seems to be working on that curve here in the 6th inning. Here's the 2-2 pitch. Fastball in there for strike 3 at 87.
And that's a Sherwin-Williams painted black called third strike.
So Sherwin-Williams painted black called third strike here on the USPBL network is Josh Goulet, the left fielder. Trying to get on for the 3rd consecutive at-bat. Had a walk and scored a run in the 3rd, singled in the 4th. Trying to extend upon his 2 for 3 night so far, Dan.
Yeah, he's bounced around a little bit. We've seen a lot of Josh Goulet.
Fly ball to right field. That's going back. So is Vaughn. He looks up, and that is gone.
I think it hit the yellow. Yep.
Goodness.
Came back. That was awfully close. That's as close as you're going to get.
Boy, the way I thought it was almost an optical illusion from where I'm standing right now. I'm trying to stretch out, but I thought it might have banged off the stage the way it careened back because you don't often get that kind of bounce off the padding.
Right. Yeah, I think it was to the left of the stage, and I think it hit the yellow padding, but not positive about that. Maybe get a better look on our YouTube replay.
I was too late.
Okay.
Keandre Jones looking to add yet another AAA insurance run here in the bottom of the 6th. Last ups for the Hoppers next half. They have the bottom of the order due up. 68-mile-per-hour first pitch curveball taken for a ball. And when you talk about these teams, I mean, limited bullpen, limited bench. Most of the time you're only seeing 2 guys
right.
that they can go to if need be.
It's interesting because the Hoppers were in a situation where, if you looked at a full roster, you'd probably see pitchers that were more in, maybe a depth role or what you might call a mop-up role. But, 6-0 deficit, we're seeing a guy that's really been a setup guy for them. The relievers, they're all basically core relievers.
Josh Wright and Isaiah Cullum, the two guys available on the bench position player-wise for the Mammoths here tonight. Wright has seen playing time in almost every team he's been on in that taxi situation. On the other side for the Hoppers, it's Jordan Finney and Alec Olin. And Olin is another guy who's seen almost exclusive time at the top of the order for most of these teams.
Yeah, generally speaking, if there's a backup catcher DHing, then that might be an exception. But for the most part, we'll see a backup catcher and then we'll see an outfielder. A lot of times is the way that works out.
Up high called for strike 2, I beg your pardon, 2-2. Jamal Howard would be next. That's your Zach Hart agency man on deck. There's a gap in right center field for this right-handed hitter. Here's the 2-2 pitch. In there for strike 3. Martin able to get a pair of strikeouts. Their Sherwin-Williams painted black call here in the 6th inning. So last ups now for this Hopper squad. It's time for your Metro Detroit Chevy dealers race here.
I have a vision of Shelley Chevelle winning today.
Holy Hot Rods, it's race time. Chevy Detroit wheels, start your engines.
Well, here we go as they come out of the left field gate.
Well, my pick's in first, Shelley Chevelle.
She heard you.
I guess so. She's got to take a good route, though. She's got to stay on the inside.
I don't know. Petey Pickup is burning on the outside. He likes to take that.
He does. He's coming on. You can see it.
Slow approach and just kind of cruising, and here he comes along that outside.
Oh, that should be an illegal move to me, that move on the inside. I don't understand the rules of this game sometimes.
That's like the basketball pick play right there.
Yeah, there's something. I don't know. To me, that's a wide receiver going out of bounds and then coming back in to catch a pass. I don't know. That's not right.
Petey Pickup trying to speed from the right side here as they float in front of that.
I mean, Shelley was left in the dust.
Well, you got to pick the one that finishes last and then ends up in first.
Yeah, maybe I'll stick with her next time.
Last stops here for the Diamond Hoppers. 7, 8, 9 due up in Grise, Pontius, and Andrew McCoy. There's Zach Hart agency, 3 men up here in the 7th, and let's send it to Chelsea Estes now.
All right, I am here with the Chevy fan of the game. It's my friend Addison here. Addison is also a member of the USPBL dance crew. Addison, you're like the super fan. What's it like to be a part of the USPBL dance crew?
Not really, nothing much. Just hard work, basically, YouTube and stuff.
A lot of hard work, just like those players out there. Now, Addison, you also told me a fun fact that your family is a host family to one of the Hoppers. So which player gets to live in your house?
A lot.
A lot of them. Is it really fun to have these big baseball players living in your house?
Yeah.
Awesome. Now, she is an amazing fan. Congratulations to Miss Addison. She is the Chevy fan of the game.
Thank you, Chelsea. Nate Grise looking to get a base runner on and see what happens at this point.
Grise is happy to not see Wright out there. He buried two strike sliders on him and put him away twice earlier in this game.
First pitch from Murphy in there for strike 1. Murphy taking over for Wright with 2 outs in the 6th. Walked Mahalik and then struck out Vaughn Jr. to strand a bases loaded scenario in the end. 91 high. We'll check to see if he went. The appeal says no. Bottom of the order today, 0 for 6 with 2 Ks. Grise has those 2 punch outs tonight. 78 remains high. Paul Nochi thinks he's hit some balls pretty good this season. 6 for 16, a homer, a double. I think he's a real strong kid.
I believe coming into the game, he led the team in average, actually, which, for a big swing guy at the bottom of the order, not something you'd necessarily expect, but certainly a weapon at the bottom of the lineup.
He battled in both at-bats before being set down swinging. 2-2 counts in every at-bat thus far. Now it's 3-2.
See what Murphy goes with here, if he comes after him with the fastball or if he tries to get him to chase an off-speed pitch at 3-2.
Now the full count delivery. High. At 90 miles per hour, and that's a leadoff walk here in the 7th inning.
Certainly not what you want if you're Murphy and the Mammoths. You got a 6-run lead here, bottom of the order up. Get a couple of these guys on, and it could get a little more interesting than you want.
Dennis Cook says Landon Barnes is definitely the player of the game on the YouTube feed. Well, he's got on base 3 times, scored twice, 0 for 4. It would be an unorthodox player of the game, but maybe.
It would.
Chelsea Estes will interview our player of the game following tonight's game. Boy, that lumber coming nearly all the way out to the third base bag, and Jones can't scoop over at first base.
We've seen Pontius get carved up a few times like that. He's lost some lumber this year. I want to say that's at least the 4th we've seen of his.
That's going to be the second error of the game for the Mammoths. There's 6 total on the board. 3 of those going to Smith on the very batted balls by Landon Barnes.
And there's quick Drew McCoy, right?
Yep. There you go. Working in those nicknames. Strike 1. He's 0 for 2 today. Pop out, line out. Did you hit much with wood bats?
I did. The college summer leagues generally use wood bats, so that was the most of it. Played 4 years, various college summer ball, and used a wood bat quite a bit during that.
How disappointed were you when you broke it when you were hitting well?
I remember one that I broke in the first at bat. I bought a new bat and broke it in my first swing with it. I think that was even more disappointing.
Was it expensive?
Yeah, it's not crippling, but usually $30-$40 I think at that time,
which is a lot for a college kid.
Yeah, you might buy 3 for $100, something of that nature, but you certainly don't want to break them. I think that was one of the earlier years of college. I think we used a lot of synthetic. It was like a wood synthetic that had kind of a plastic covering on it, and those last a little bit longer, certainly. It's good, though. I like it. I think kids of all ages should try to use wood in practice as much as possible. Helps you really become a truer hitter, a better hitter.
Are there any adjustments you got to make? Because for some of these guys, this is the first time on a regular basis, in regular season quote unquote type games that they're using wood bats.
It's just being better. It's just having a better swing. It's making more perfect contact. The sweet spot is smaller, and you just have to be better at barreling up the ball.
91 low and away, tough to lay off that, but McCoy did with a sort of a check swing there. First and second to begin this 7th inning. This would turn it over to the top of the lineup with no outs if McCoy can get on and join the party here. 1-2, fly ball to center field. Howard, I think lost it at the last second there as he was looking for help. Going to line up this throw, and the runner will advance, standing up in Nate Grice.
Something that they've done recently, especially with the non-wood bats, is really deadening them at the amateur level. It's mostly for safety reasons, but Little League was the most recent a couple years ago, they really deadened those significantly, and it's been that way in high school with the BB Core bat for a while, and the game has really changed as a result. Even good high school teams are, hitting single-digit home runs over the course of a year on a regular basis.
Yeah, I remember the year that switched over. I can't remember if it was when I was in high school or college, but you see guys complaining like, yeah, that would have been out.
Oh yeah,
if it was one of those.
The first adjustment they made is they made them all go -3, which means if you have a 34-inch bat, it's got to be 31 ounces. Can't really whip it through as fast, as a -5 type situation or more. And then they went to the BB Core where the exit velocity was really deadened from what it used to be. I think it's a good thing in Little League though, because kids are getting bigger and bigger, and the safety aspect of it was getting a little bit sketchy. You'll have a kid who's 12 years old and he's 6'3" and 200 pounds sometime, and you'll have a 9 or 10-year-old third baseman who's 70 pounds or something, and it gets a little bit dangerous.
And you got some guys potentially playing up.
Sure.
A level.
Yep.
2-1 off the glove, and staying at third base is Grice. Advancing to second is Pontius. So that puts 2 runners in scoring position. A 3-1 count to a pretty good hitter in Anthony Maselli, and Jalen Smith and Luke Johnson on deck and double deck here.
Ultimately, you get into the last inning like this, it's about base runners. The 2 that are out there right now of minimal importance, if you get a few more base runners, that's what really gives you a shot here. You want Maselli and Smith to get on, give those big boys a chance to tie the game potentially.
Days on goal, Cole, Dante Glover, the 2 other arms available in this Woolly Mammoths pen here tonight. But if you're Paul Nickenbrugge, you want John Murphy to close it down and not have to use any more arms or see any runs scratch across the plate when you hold a 6-0 lead here in the 7th.
No doubt.
Big time strike 2 at 92 there from John Murphy. And it's a full count.
You got to bring a strike here if you're Murphy. You want him to earn it in this kind of spot.
Full count pitch, fouled it back. It's your fastest pitch of the game, brought to you by Mopar. Three and 2 still on Anthony Maselli. Got a single his last time up in the 6th. Popped out his first 2 at-bats. Try the full count pitch again, and he's going to load the bases with 1 out. And these Hoppers' offense are dangerous enough where 1 swing of the bat could make this a 2-run ball game.
Yeah, if we get a couple more base runners here, they may consider getting Dazon Cole out there possibly. If you're Murphy, walking guys in this situation, that's really going to hurt your development as a possible closer with this team. 6-0 situation, you've got to be able to throw strikes.
And right on cue, Dazon is tuning up, just lightly tossing. There he is, the flame flower that can get up to 95, 96. Leadoff walk to Grice, then the error by Jones, and the fly out to McCoy. And then the walk to Maselli has no margin for error here for John Murphy with only 1 out in the 7th.
I finally realized who Murphy reminds me of, just his overall look.
Who's that?
Former pitcher for the Tigers. See if you can come up with it.
Bonderman?
Yes, absolutely. Good call.
Similar, he sets up the same way, similar body type, and he hits. Wow. Jalen Smith here to drive in the first run of the ball game for the Hoppers. Bonderman, a big part of that 06 squad.
Really a dominant pitcher at times. We've talked about some fastball slider guys here in the USPBL. Bonderman was very plus with his fastball slider, and something he always tried to develop was that changeup, and he never quite got there, and that really hurt his career. It hurt him from taking that next step, and I think some of the guys in this league are working on the same type of thing, developing that third pitch.
I think he ended up admitting that his slider messed with his arm, too.
It could definitely happen.
Could use somebody like Justin Orenduff to take a look at that point.
For sure.
Johnson looks at a ball outside. Pond full of ducks, a run already in. It's 6-1 in favor of the Woolly Mammoths here in the top of inning number 7.
And the important thing, the tying run's on deck.
Big swing and a miss at 92. So a couple 92-mile-per-hour fastballs here in the 7th. There's not been a hit in this inning to create this rally, but patience can go a long way, and then the big hit does a lot more. And Luke Johnson's certainly a guy that has a good amount of pop in this right-handed bat. 2 bombs to his credit thus far. A double, 6 runs scored. 1-2, swing and a miss. Darting pitch to the outside. What a job by Murphy to gain out number 2.
That was a good breaking ball right there. He finally commanded that one the way that he wanted with 2 strikes.
And now Zach Gray, the last shot. Walk back in the 6th, strikeout in the 4th, fly out in the 2nd. His eyes lighting up, though, with a big chance with 2 outs and the bases juiced. Just 2 hits. That's it for the Diamond Hoppers stuck here in the 7th inning. It hasn't been too often they've been stuck to that number. Good job by Elmer.
Yeah, this is not an easy lineup to navigate, and the starter Wright just did a terrific job.
Elmer's done a good job behind the dish here today.
Yeah, he's working back there.
Kind of your uncharacteristic type blocks. I don't know if you can call that a block, but it basically was. I mean,
right.
He prevented that from going to the stop.
Yeah, that was a desperate attempt.
91 in for strike 1.
I believe one of the 2 hits was an infield hit, too, wasn't it? I think Maselli had an infield hit.
Exactly. Back in the 6th. So one that Wright came off the mound and
yep, that's right.
Thought he should have fielded it in the end.
Right.
So now John Murphy, 1 strike away from getting out of this and breathing a huge sigh of relief. 3 walks in this outing. That's the 2nd outing in a row that he's uncorked 3 free passes. Gray on the 1-2 pitch. Just rode inside.
He wouldn't have been able to do much with that ball. That was well placed, not an easy ball to handle.
Got Pontius at third base, Maselli at second, Smith at first. 2 outs in a 6-1 game in the 7th. High. In danger of walking in another here in the 7th. It's a dead silence here at Jimmy John's Field as the fans look on. The players on the edge of their seats looking for a big hit and a 3rd out. It's a big walk in the end, as that's the 2nd run of the ball game here for the Hoppers.
They may want to look at Dazon Cole here with the tying run coming up to the plate. It might be time.
So now 4 walks in this outing for Murphy, and that's exactly the direction they're going as Dazon Cole sprints out of the bullpen here.
Attention kids, if you are interested in running the bases tonight, please head down to the first base diamond tables.
So we will see another Hoffman Dental pitching change here in the 7th inning. We'll hand the ball off to Dazon Cole, another guy on the taxi squad, but not for a lack of talent.
No, that's for sure. He's a weapon that can help out multiple teams. Fireballer out of Central Michigan and West Bloomfield High School here locally. Not a big guy. We've seen a lot of big frames, a lot of tall, lanky type guys also, but about 5'11", 185. Drafted twice, once by Atlanta in 2014 and then Los Angeles 2018.
Got the chance to text a little bit with Harrison Wenson, a guy who was a good catcher over at UD Jesuit, is now playing in the Los Angeles farm system. I think was expected to head to Double-A. He had a good season last year and was in spring training at one point with the Angels. And he's caught days on, says he's a really nice guy, and without a doubt a real sharp fastball. And he can run it up there 95, 96 when he's going right, and an even better slider from what he's heard from other guys who have caught them. He's can be a little wild at times, but that's what they're trying to hone in on here at the USPBL. But certainly an athletic build, a solid head on his shoulders as well, and just an awesome guy to be along. So
Harrison Wenson's not too bad himself. He's a pretty good catcher with a great throwing arm.
There's some pop in that bat too.
Definitely. Good competitor, intense kid.
Something to be said about a solid catcher in your minor league organization. As Riley Mahalik looks at strike one. Gap in left center field as Goulet plays toward the line. Howard about even with dead center field. 395 here at Jimmy John's. Strike two.
Cole can run that fastball up there, but he's also got some run on his ball too. There's some movement, especially when it's more in the low 90s as opposed to the mid to upper. He can get some tail.
Strong step out there by Mahalik as well, trying to slow him down. Here's a 0-2, high at 91. Some time with the Unicorns. That's where we saw his first appearance in days on Cole. Paul Nochi welcoming him, or Paul Nickenbrago welcoming him with open arms, I'm sure, to his squad here tonight. 1-2, tipped into the glove at 91. And just like that, Dazon Cole able to shut the door in the seventh. They do send 8 to the plate in the end. 2 runs come around to score for the Hoppers, but the Mammoths able to snap their 0 for 6 and pick up their first win of the young campaign here today. And a team that got the bats going, it's got to feel pretty good. And a good job by Cole coming out and retiring the only batter he faces.
It didn't come easy, did it? But nice job by the Mammoths tonight. Obviously the story of the night, probably Jared Wright with his great start. Excellent pitching performance. And also the top of the Mammoths order, Kieber having a nice night getting on base. Landon Barnes making contact and finding a way on, and it set it up for the big guys in the order.
Pat Torres on Facebook comments, let's go Dazon with the fire emoji. Yeah, he comes out there, runs it at you, and if you're going to, send a guy out there with the bases loaded and 2 runs already in to try to get you going and out of the inning, Dazon Cole is probably your best candidate in this USPBL fold.
Yeah, they felt good handing him the ball to get that last one.
Well, awaiting our player of the game interview. Chelsea Estes will have that for you. But another full slate of USPBL action this week. Upcoming schedule brought to you by Motor City Casino. Tomorrow you have the Unicorns and the Beavers. And on Friday, the Hoppers and the Unicorns. Another double dip for us here on the USPBL Network on Saturday. That'll be the Mammoths and the Beavers. So the Mammoths get some time off. Their schedule has been pretty variable, and that's some reason when you talk about cold hitters and, not exactly getting into the form they wanted to early on. That's why we haven't seen the panic button being pushed early on.
Yeah, these are veteran baseball men here leading these teams. They know that it's too early to push that panic button, especially when the schedule's been a little bit irregular. But looking forward to that matchup with the Unicorns and the Hoppers. Those two haven't faced each other yet, and that'll be an exciting matchup and a good test for the Unicorns, who are sitting in first place right now.
Well, the other story here tonight, besides the Mammoths bats getting going, was the start by Jared Wright. 6 strikeouts. The last out he recorded was a strikeout to Luke Johnson, but more importantly, he went 6 tonight, and that's the longest any pitcher, or 5 2/3, I should say.
Right.
But the longest any pitcher has gone here in the USPBL.
Yeah, he was very efficient. You could tell as it got into that sixth inning that maybe started to slow down or lose his command just a little bit, and they got him out of there. I think they were hoping to get him through that inning, but they got him out of there before the wheels came off. But a great start. That's what the Mammoths really needed tonight, and he did his job. He did his job for his club, and he's going to settle into that second spot in the rotation after McKendall, I think, and it'll be a good follow going forward to see how those two can combine and get a few more in the win column for that team.
And the pitch that he worked hard on over the last week was the slider, and that looked very sharp early on in this game as well. Toss it down to Chelsea. Ask us now, Chelsea.
All right, now here we go. All right, I'm here with the player of the game, brought to you by Autolab. It's the Westside Woolly Mammoths pitcher, Jared Wright. Well deserved. You guys did an outstanding. Won your first team win tonight. Super great. 5 games in. You know what? Was it better late than never? Is that what they always say? All right, let's review your stats here because they're pretty impressive for your start. You pitched 5 2/3 inning. I'm gonna read them off, in case you forgot. You had only 2 hits, 0 runs, 0 walks, and guess how many strikeouts? Don't look at my notes. 6. Congratulations. All right, what was clicking out there for you tonight?
Everything. Not talking to this. Okay. Everything was working. I have 4 pitches, only threw 3 of them. I didn't throw the curveball till late in the game, but man, I trusted my infielders and got a lot of weak contact to them. I don't know if I talked to you or looked at you. Yeah. Got a lot of weak contact. Let my infielders carry me through the game. And our bats came alive in the first, second, and third innings, and we were cruising the rest of the game. So a lot of props to them. They had my back the whole game.
Absolutely. You just steal my notes. I was just say we're going off each other's side. Your offense, you got the lead early, so that kind of helped you settle in, knowing that they had your back.
Exactly. Yeah, 100%. No pressure. They were just saying, man, let us do the work. So I was trying to. A lot of props to them though. They made some great plays behind me and carried me throughout the whole game. So yeah.
That's fantastic. This being your first team win, how do you think you guys are going to take this momentum moving into your next game?
We can finally breathe. I think everyone was playing real tense, and today it was different. We came out with a lot of energy, and everyone was playing real loose. And I think it showed on the game. So hopefully we can carry that the rest of the season and gain back that lead.
Absolutely. I don't know if you knew this, but last season, the Westside Woolly Mammoths had a very rough beginning. I don't know if you heard this. And then they came and they were in the championship game. So you never know. You guys are a team that you get to keep us guessing. Exactly. You're doing it on purpose. We got you. So you know what? This is your first time here at USPBL. With our circumstances, how were you preparing before you got the call to come back up here?
So a lot of thanks to my dad, honestly. He played a while, and he's kind of been my rock. And, man, he was catching my bullpens. He put the gear on and everything. And it was just me and him. But thankfully, a gym that I went to was open, so I was able to train and everything. And even here, if we have an off day, I'm throwing into a finish. So I'm doing everything I need to do to stay ready.
And it absolutely shows. You did a fantastic job tonight. So before I end, this is a very important question. Did you know that today is a national holiday?
Well, obviously not.
It is National Hot Dog Day. And since we are at a ballpark, I'm going to ask you, what do you put on your hot dog? I was, scrolling through Twitter, and I saw the Detroit Tigers AA affiliate, the Erie Seawolves. They had cotton candy, get this, with nerds sprinkled on top of their hot dog. So I'm going to ask you, what do you put on your hot dog?
Just basics, not cotton candy. Ugh. Relish, ketchup, and mustard. Yeah.
Did you know that putting ketchup on a hot dog is not spoken upon, right, fans? I mean, some of you are maybe avid hot dog eaters. I'm not. It's a good question. I'm not a hot dog eater, but if I did, I would also put ketchup on my hot dog. So I know we might get some angry teas. I'm just kidding. But you know what? Whatever tastes good. Everyone, again, Jared Wright, player of the game, brought to you by Autolev. Fantastic job. I wish to give you a high five, but you were great. Nice job, all right. Jeremy and guys, back to you.
Thanks, Chelsea. Chelsea, kind of a new member of our team. I mean, she's familiar with the USPBL and did some sideline work along with in-game hosting. So you'll see her double up a little bit as this interesting season of USPBL baseball and sports in general kind of unfold. But we're happy to have her back and get some, perspectives from the interview side, both in-game and after the game, and dive into some of our in-game promotions in a little bit of a different light for our viewers as well. So we told you the Beavers and the Unicorns tomorrow. tomorrow game brought to you by Motor City Casino. Pitching matchup, another pretty good one. Ty Hensley, A.J. Coleman. Hensley had a really good outing through 5 for the Unicorns last time out.
Yeah, he really couldn't have been much better than he's been early this season. 2 of the games that he was out there, he left without having surrendered a hit. You know, that first opening night, part of a combined no-hitter, which was obviously terrific. And the last time out, you know, getting through 5 innings pretty much unblemished. He's getting his breaking ball over with regularity. He's a guy who is really trying to take that next step in his career, and he's certainly off to a great start.
I look forward to seeing those 2 tomorrow and seeing if that Beavers offense can pick up right where they left off from the doubleheader on Saturday. They got it going, 7 runs and 11 runs, respectively. For the whole crew today, my broadcast partner Dan Griesbaum Jr., I'm Jeremy Otto. We will see you tomorrow night on the air at 6:50 on Facebook and YouTube. Have a great